Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, and today my special, special guest, Joe Gonsalves, right? Joe
Yes, sir.
Gonsalves. Look at that.
It, I will actually say, though, anybody can pronounce my last name however they want. I know what you mean. It doesn't matter how you say it.
So it's one thing when to piggyback on that. There's some one thing when some like people just they enunciate it wrong, or they're trying to pronounce it. They're not trying to be rude about it.
Right, right.
Like there's
Yeah.
people that will just be absolutely rude. I hope I'm not. I feel like it looks like I'm glitching over here. I hope this kind of fixes
It's
it.
a little
Let's
stuttering, but
see.
I can hear you fine.
Oh, shit. Of course. I don't know why I don't have a good signal. I really have nothing else going on here. But I'm looking at my own thing and like, come on, dude. I pay for pretty good internet, right? I
Right.
pay for damn pretty good internet.
Hey, man, I'm an expert on that. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'll just jump in real quick. Like, I had really crappy local internet before I got like satellite internet
Yeah.
out here. And I was on Legion's Lounge and trying to show off. I held up a figure, and Trevor Williams says it looks like I'm holding up a ball of tissues, because my internet was so bad they couldn't even see what I was holding up. So I feel your pain.
And no, like Matthew just texted me and said you guys you hear me fine. I look like garbage, and I don't know why I don't have a signal. I should have a good signal, and my son's not even here, so it's not like he's using the bandwidth to
Right,
play video
right.
games. And trying to see if I have anything else going on in my video. I always have I always have this going right over here, so I can make sure how it looks. But oh well, as long as you guys can hear me and you can see him, that's what really matters. So anyway, thank you so much for joining. I know you you just got back from Legion's Con, and we'll talk about that a little bit because that is one thing I'm
Absolutely.
definitely looking forward to getting to eventually. But you
Hell
know what?
yeah.
So quickly, let me just start because it can't believe this came so quickly here, but
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
and this is from Curtis Ackerman, who I already saw in the chat said he's here to see you, but thank you for the $4.99 super chat. If we have a problem, Joe Gunn solves it. Not really. Joe has his own issues, and you are grown. You are grown, so take care of your own problems.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks,
thank you,
Curtis.
Curtis. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Curtis is
Joe Gunn solves it.
is a superstar host of Offworld, the show that I'm on Friday nights. That I'm the sidekick on. So
Well, you know what? A lot of people start off as a sidekick. Remember Robin was too, and then he became Nightwing, one of the
right,
coolest
right.
superheroes of all time.
It's actually part of a gag that I do because they want to call me a co-host, so I'm a sidekick. You know what I mean? If they called me a sidekick, I'd want to be a co-host. It's just messing around, a little bit of entertainment there. So
We've talked more than enough on, on Oz's, and I think you jumped on the pit before. Like you come off like when you're not really talking, and we'll get into your life really shortly. But you come
sure.
off like you don't really talk. But as I hear you, I'm like, this guy takes everything in stride. Doesn't seem to let a lot bother you. At least you don't let a lot show that it bothers you, and that's a really
No,
good.
very very few things bother me. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, in life, let's be honest, this is supposed to be fun for all of us, right? This is supposed
Yeah.
to be what we enjoy, and this is supposed to be our escape. And well, we don't always get it, but we
Right.
definitely.
Well, I can give a quick explanation. Part of the reason why I'm so good about taking crap or things, hearing things from people. I started working at a mine when I was 18 years old, and there were guys.
Wait, you said a mime, not as a mime, right?
Right, that is
If you
correct.
said it as a
Yes,
mime, we're done.
we dig up minerals and process them there. So a mine, and when I started, there was guys there that had been there 40, 50 years, you know, like, and these old men, their trial for you was to just belittle and berate. You know, this is 1996, right? And they would just beat you because if you couldn't hang with them, if you couldn't handle it, they didn't want you. You know, this is a man's job, and you have to be a man. And I was a kid, you know, and these were the meanest people on the planet. You know what I mean? Like,
Sound like my kind of people.
yeah, really, they were. I mean, but after dealing with that, the kind of things that people say that, you know, what's going to upset me? You know what I mean? I've been told terrible things by these old men when I was young, you know, and now that I'm an old man, it's just like nobody's going to outdo those old bastards, you know.
No, I get that.
You know.
Let's address this. Curtis
Sure.
Curtis Ackerman says you can call Joe whatever you want, but don't call him short. So how short are you?
I'm 6 foot. So at Legion's Con,
oh wow,
there must have been 50 people that said some derivative of, how are you so tall? Why are you so tall? I thought you'd be shorter. And it blew my mind. It was one of the things that I was just like I sit down on the internet. Like, are they using Euclidean geometry to, you know, 3 points of reference to determine my height while I'm sitting? Like, I was so blown away that people were saying that they thought I would be short. And then I would ask them why. And like 90% of them had no answer. Like, I don't know. I just thought you would be.
You look like you'd be short. I am
really?
honest.
Just like my round head or something, or
I mean, I honestly, I don't know. Just like maybe how you're sitting, maybe because you sit lower. Like, well, I don't know. But if like when he said that, it kind of made, I'm like, you kind of do look like you're short. But again, I tell people that I'm short, so people know that I'm short. When almost everyone meets me, they go, "Oh, you're a lot shorter than I thought you'd be." And I'm like,
I don't want to say that's a compliment, but
I mean, it doesn't bother. It's not like I'm hiding it. It's not like, I mean, I can't fake. I'm not wearing platforms. I'm not wearing scopes.
Right.
You know, like I'm short. There's nothing.
Whenever people talk about being short, I always tell them, hey, at least you hit your head a lot less than we do, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, let's say hi to the chat, and then we're going to get into you.
All right. Is it cool if I smoke on your show, Lawrence?
I would rather you not, but if you feel the need to, you can.
No, totally cool.
And thank you for asking.
Yeah, for sure. I meant to ask you before the show started, and I forgot. So, but absolutely, man.
If you need to, you know,
no problem.
To, it's cool. Oz always does, even though he's in the darkness. So
right.
Quickly, same time Toys is here. We have Johnny Reno, Mendoza, as we met Curtis Ackerman already. My buddy's Customs. Ken from Toy Connections has joined us, and obviously Joan Gonsalves is here. Todd C. Nolan, which makes us ToyTube official. 3-star draws here. Tony's Figs, who's one of my better friends, but don't tell him that. Matthew Madsen, the first moderator. My first moderator that I ever had is here. Dre of the Collector Safe Space. Allison Troy, who is a wonderful person who's been doing all kinds of moving 6 hours away. That is nuts. I don't even want to think about that. We have Joe Fan 84 who has dropped in here. And is there anyone else? I know I saw my other moderator, Action Figs, who said he's not going to be able to stay very long. I think in the chat his words were, "I'm not going to be able to stay very long because I really hate Joe." And I was like, "Whoa, Ed! Like, come on,
yeah,
like,
Ed, how could you?"
That bad. Not that bad. Now his daughter is in town, and if you don't know, she is in the Air Force. So, if spending time with his daughter is more important than watching us, good for him, right?
Hey, you can replay this. You can't replay time with your daughter.
Exactly. You know, and again, like there comes a time where they don't want to spend time with you, then they want to spend time again.
Right.
You know, so SAS Dog has joined us. We have Wade Howlitzson in the house, and that comes to the end. So
right.
My buddy's Custom says, is this why I've never been on your show? I smoke too much. You're always doing gummies, I believe. Again, like it's weird because like I don't like eating. Smoking actually bothers me less than eating.
Oh,
Um,
right, right.
and maybe it's just because I don't do it. I don't know, and
Yeah.
I kind of feel weird. Like glad you asked, but I
Mhm.
kind of feel bad saying I'd rather you not.
No,
I
no,
don't know how that.
it's totally understandable. Like a lot of people are bothered by smoking. That's why I asked. It's kind of like how they took smoking sections out of restaurants. There's a reason that they did that. It's not like I think smoking is this awesome thing that I'm super proud of. I'm an addict, you know. Like I've been smoking since I was 16 and I wish I had never started because of all the things that I have quit, and I have quit all the other things. Smoking has by far been the hardest to let go of. So,
It's funny. I mean, I've told the story. My mom passed away when I was 13, and she was a smoker. My dad, I
right,
mean,
right.
before my mom passed away, my dad used to make comments like, "Oh yeah, when Bonnie dies in her coffin, I'm gonna have to put a cigarette in her mouth." And she
Mhm.
was just like adamant, like, "Don't you ever start smoking. I wish I could quit. I can't quit.
Right.
I have tried."
Yeah.
And
Well,
like, that has nothing to do with why she passed away or anything, but it was like that was one of
right.
the reasons why I never did.
Right.
You make these
Right.
promises, and it is one of
Hey,
those
and good for you, man, for sure. Like you should be
thank
proud
you.
of that. Yeah.
Um,
I'll
Curtis.
even tell you the story why I started smoking. Oh, I never smoked when I am. It must be a sidekick thing. Um,
Curtis right
so
now is like, this guy's an asshole.
ironically growing up, oh, Curtis is
Yeah.
totally an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole. So I
No, he's
love
saying about
him.
me. I'm saying he's like, this guy's
Oh,
an asshole.
oh,
Don't
okay.
even let
Well,
him smoke.
Curtis too. Yeah. But I freaking love Curtis. He's awesome. Um, when I was 16, there was a girl that I really liked, and this is how's this for foolishness of youth. She smoked, right? So I actually started smoking just so that I could borrow her lighter and talk to her. And here it is. It is 31 years later. I never got the girl, and I'm still smoking. So yeah, that's a
You
big
know,
fail right there.
so I know smoking is very expensive because I work with people that smoke,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I've heard about it. And I remember my mom was complaining when a carton of cigarettes. Now, again, my mom passed away in '89, so a carton of
Right.
cigarettes hit $20.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how much is a carton now?
Probably 100. Yeah.
So so I'm
$100.
not sure what's worse. You started smoking because of a woman and now you're stuck with it, or getting a girl pregnant and paying child support for 18 years. Or
I did
21 if you're in New York.
I did that. I paid child support while I was smoking. How's that for
See, I
some?
feel like child support, like it at least ends, but I guess the kid
Right.
doesn't. I mean, I don't know when the kid stops asking for money. I was probably in my 40s before I stopped asking my
Yeah,
dad
I
for
was gonna
money.
say I haven't experienced that yet. My oldest boy is 28. He doesn't if he can pay for things himself, he does. Because
Yeah.
he's a meat cutter by trade.
Okay.
So during like deer season and stuff like that, he's rolling in dough. He doesn't even need to say hi to me. But when it's the off season, every once in a while, he'll come up a little short.
Wait, Hollitson. Plot twist: the girl quit smoking 2 weeks after you started.
She didn't, but that would have been hilarious.
That's a hi to Clint Jorgensen, who is joining us, and Punisher Bill. All right. Well, we've been chatting for now 15 minutes or so.
Sure.
Well, let's start. How old are you?
All right. I'm 47.
47. So you're actually younger than me. So
Oh,
we're in
okay.
the same age bracket. Same.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I'll be 49 next month, so it's not like
Gotcha.
some
Gotcha.
huge difference. I know
I'm a young pup.
I know I look like a baby, but
Right.
uh,
It's just a bald head.
yeah. Well, look, I'm trying. It's too cold. I'll shave my head, and I get to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. It's
Oh,
getting cold. I'm done. I'll let it grow out, and then I'll shave it again. I'm not. I'm wondering if it's going to be more gray or white or bald.
right.
It's yeah. I'm not sure.
I'm like Friar Tuck bald. So like, yeah, that's
You
so
know, oh,
I shave. Yeah, I shave my. I'm wearing a beanie because it's cold here in Nevada right now, and you'd be surprised how insulating hair is. Like I would
oh
be
no, I
shivering.
know exactly because that's exactly like I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'll go right back to. I mean, I've done it for so long. shaving my head, and then I let
Right.
it grow out. Usually I start growing it out ahead of time. I'm like, all right, well, by Thanksgiving, it'll be at a length that looks nice. This year, I was like, I'm gonna shave it all winter, and then we get like one cold day, and I'm like, fuck this, like, fuck this, like, oh, that bacon.
The problem is I can't grow enough hair anymore to actually insulate my head. I look like a high school English teacher if I
Well,
let my hair grow out. So
that's my fears. I've been shaving it. I don't remember. I think I might have shaved it all winter. I don't remember.
yeah,
So it's been a while. I know back here it is really balding.
right,
And I can see the more that's, shall I say, the more that's not coming in. Is
right, not coming back. I know that feeling very well.
all right. So let me ask. Your name is you. I always ask people what their where their name comes from, and not your Joe G name, but your
My
Joe G
parents. Yeah,
I'm assuming Joe G Customs. I'm assuming you do customs and.
yeah, that's what I thought my Instagram was gonna be focused on when I started Instagram, because after my second divorce, I was single for 8 years,
I'm
and
going on 9.
yeah,
Going on 9.
I totally get it, man. I totally get it. But it's my hobby, and I never got on Instagram, but I got on Instagram because of Mythic Legions, So
All right. Curtis Ackerman says the show background makes me wonder when they start talking Second Amendment. All right, Curtis, let me explain. This was my original. Well, this was like a second logo that I did. What it actually is it is the skyline of Detroit. That's supposed to be like the G.I. Joe, a real American hero, where they're all like throwing their hands up. That's what it's supposed to be. But I wanted to get rid of that, so I put I put the skyline of Detroit up, and now I'm like, oh god, like, but my logo here won't work because it's square,
right.
so it wouldn't, it won't work. But that's funny it's funny.
I never would have thought of that, but yeah,
I guess like now, like if he saw it, he'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But but now that I'm looking at it, it's like he has no idea like what that is.
Right.
But if you look at, like, it says a punk with toys, it isn't like the G.I. Joe real American hero logo.
Right. That's awesome, man.
See, this is awesome because here's someone who, and I've seen Curtis, and I think I've talked to him even before on Oz's.
Yeah, he's been on once or twice.
But
sure.
It's odd. It's like he's never been here, and he's like seeing stuff, and it's like I would have never seen that at all. But now I can't not see it, and I can fully see what he's like. Oh man, when are they going to start talking about like they ain't going to take my guns?
Yeah, right.
Having my cold dead hands. All right, you saw Red Dawn. I'm all ready. War Chest has joined us, and I did see Wilhelm Toy and Hobby, who was my was just recently a guest of mine. So go check that one out. Right. Curtis says, I'll be honest, I didn't know you had a show. Instant subscriber. Well, thank you very much. Yes, I do. I have a very successful show. One of the most successful. I like to say that my Monday Night Toy Ramblings is the most successful toy show in the state of Michigan between 9 and midnight.
I guess if you narrow it down enough, huh? Yeah.
Hey, if it comes down to it, I'll go all the way down to the most successful show in my neighborhood. Between these times, I have no shame. I used to say, like, I live in a really small townhouse community. I used to say that I'm like the best skateboarder. No, I'm like in my 40s, right? And then I find out this dude just totally ripping at the skate park. He's living with his grandmother in there. I'm like, motherfucker, dude.
Right.
Like, I can't even claim being the best skateboarder in my own little townhouse.
Right.
But he moved out, so I'm back to being number one skateboarder.
Number one, man. Climb back up those ranks. So.
I might be the only one, but hey, you know what? I don't care.
Hey, no competition. You still win. Yeah.
You remember field day in elementary school, and it's like
Yeah,
Oh, no boys are doing hula hoop, and you're like, I'll do it, and you get the blue ribbon. It's like there's no one else. I was like, I don't care.
right.
Not my fault. You
Still,
guys knew jump roping and hula hoop. I still got first place. Look at the blue ribbon.
yeah, the ribbon still goes on my wall, buddy. Yeah.
I have no shame whatsoever.
No,
So, do you mind me? Where'd you grow up at?
In Lovelock, Nevada. It's this little tiny, small western town mining community, like farming mining community. It's about 100 miles east of Reno. It's the smartest kid in the dumb row.
Me, dude.
It's probably as close to the middle of nowhere as you can get and still find people. So
Is that because it's a mine? I mean, was it always a mining? Like, did you always live in a mining town, or?
well, it was already when I was here,
Okay.
So it's been a farming community since the town was founded in like the late 1800s, and then mining. Nevada's, the silver and gold rush from Nevada and
Yeah.
California, that's all been prevalent. And like they've mined all the like big deposits of silver and gold, but now they have such advanced technologies they can go in and do like strip mining. They just
Okay.
crush up the rock and then put cyanide on it. Cyanide melts gold. So they actually put cyanide on top of the rocks, and the trace amounts of gold bleed out, and then they
Oh,
remove the
wow.
rocks and get the gold. And I don't do gold mining. We mine something called diatomaceous earth, but it's a filter aid. But mining is a big part of the community, and for employment for people that aren't farmers.
So is this where you've lived your whole life,
My
for the most part?
parents moved here from the Bay Area when I was 4. So
Okay.
we lived in Hayward, California. That's where because my brothers are quite a bit older than me, 12 and 14 years older than me. They went to like high school and stuff in the Bay Area, but they moved up here when I was 4. So pretty much all I remember
Okay.
is being up here. Yeah.
So, you said you must have been born in what, late 76, 77?
77. Yeah.
Okay.
April 1st, 1977, which explains a lot of how my life has gone. It's been just one joke after another.
Well, someone else said they had a birthday in April, and I said, well, when is it? And they said, I'm like, my ex's birthday is April 24th. And I remember when I first met her, and she's like, you will never forget my birthday. It is 4/24/74.
Oh, wow.
So when my son, he takes pride in not remembering our birthdays. I'm like, you should never. Well, first off, you should know all your family, like all your mom and your dad,
Yeah.
even if you don't know the dates. Like my dad's, I forget the year, but I know the date. Like
That's the cool thing about Facebook. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook, but it reminds you when everybody's birthday is. That has saved me a lot of embarrassment. So,
Cobweb, who's joined us.
hey, Cobb.
It's funny that you say that because I'm talking to Tony's face, and he's like, he goes, "Are you forgetting something?" And I was like, I don't know. He's like, "Are you forgetting something?" I was like, "Dude, I have no idea." He's like, "What day it is?" I'm like, "Oh, is it your birthday?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, I didn't forget it. I didn't know it."
Right.
That's a big difference. All right.
Just
Like,
I haven't looked at Facebook today, so I don't know when people's
If
birthdays are.
Facebook hasn't told me, it's not my fault. All right. But all right. So you said you had a couple brothers. How many siblings did you end up having?
Just my 2 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they were much older, so it sounds like you didn't have like a built-in play friend like we all
No,
did.
I actually and I live on a farm. I lived on a farm. I still live on the same farm. I just have my own house now, but it's like a family farm. But it's out of town, so it wasn't convenient to have other kids over or anything like that, because my parents didn't want to give them rides home and stuff like that, because we live out of town. So I spent a lot of time by myself as a kid. I think it helped develop my imagination and some of my neurotic tendencies. So
do you remember like the first toys you played with?
yes, I do. So there was a Wild West line called Johnny West that my brothers had, and I got their hand-me-down toys.
Okay.
And they also had was Big Jim, right? That Mattel, that line that Big Jim
Yeah,
that Mattel did, like
made a lot of
the ape
He-Man
where
stuff.
you turn the thing on his back and his arms would spin around. Like I had that. I had these Western figures from a line
Yeah,
called Johnny West.
if
So,
Action Figs was here, he could answer, but he said he hates you so much that he
Right.
was not going to be here. I was so weird. I'm like, wow, like Matthew's in it. Like, oh, Ed, man, that's rough.
right. Darn you, Ed. No, it's cool. He can fill us in later. No problem there. Right. But those were the first toys I had because those were just the hand-me-down toys, until I got old enough to actually want the things that I saw on TV. So
see, Matthew says that Ed is so brutal. It's
hardcore, man. Hardcore.
Curtis says my wife just reminded me of her birthday, which is 10 days away. Like I still have a week and a half before I need to scramble for that.
Happy birthday, Darla.
Don't start giving me panic attacks now. I still have a week to go before I even start thinking about it. All right.
Yeah. Hey, those reminders are handy. You're pretty lucky if you have a woman that'll remind you of dates that you need to be aware of, rather than reminding you after the dates that you should be aware of.
My phone reminded me of a girl that I was dating a few years ago. I'm like, dude, how do I fucking turn this off without
right. I don't want that
how do I delete this? I don't like deleting phone numbers because if somebody ever calls you and you're like, ooh, I better not answer that one.
Right.
I'm like, how do I delete this without accidentally calling her? And all of a sudden she's like, oh wow, nice to like. That was the wrong one. I was just trying to delete your birthday.
Right. I just wanted to delete your information. That's all. Nothing personal.
I want to keep your name and number in here just in case you call me and I know to avoid you or you send me some weird text,
That's how you make friends, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is why I'm single for the past almost 9 years.
I hear you there, man.
So do you you remember those as like the first toys you had?
Yeah.
Do you remember like the first new toys or first toys you started falling in love with? I don't like saying collecting because we didn't collect at that age, right?
Right. No, I absolutely do. So it was Masters of the Universe. And the reason so is that because it's such a small town, you had to do a lot of your shopping like out of town. We have one grocery store. We had a Sears outlet, not even a Sears store. It just had the catalogs. That's like how small the town was. You could order the stuff out of the catalogs, but you couldn't, it wasn't a store.
Now, would they have them sent to Sears or sent to your house?
To Sears, and you picked it up there. It was actually free shipping. Like the Sears in Reno would actually drive the stuff. Somebody would drive the stuff out here and drop it off, and then you just pick it up at the outlet store. But anyways, my parents were going shopping. It was a Sears outlet or not outlet, but it's an actual Sears retail store in Reno. And they had this big Masters of the Universe display. It probably was a lot smaller than I remember it because I was very young, like 6 or 7. But there was Castle Grayskull and all the figures, and they had this big cardboard display around it that was like a bigger print of the Castle Grayskull. And I saw that and I didn't know what it was. It was before the cartoon was out. And I was just like, I want that. That is so cool.
What year would that have been?
82 probably.
Is that when Motu started? 82?
I think so.
Okay.
So. It was the first wave of Motu.
It's funny that you say that because I've talked before. Like the first G.I. Joes that I got was at Sears, and the Sears toy department. And again, anyone in our age, I mean, first off, if you said Sears toy department, for a while people would be like, "What is that?" And
right.
Now kids would be like, "What is Sears?"
Yeah.
What?
Well, what's neat about that too is it's like, okay, so this is 1982. My parents are like, hey, we're going to go shopping. You can go play in the toy department, hang out in the toy department until we get our shopping done. And that was just fine. And nothing ever happened to me. That's the difference in eras between then and today.
So let me ask, are these people for you?
They are. That's Jordan.
Awesome.
Purple Gang, super awesome group of guys. Gaisagwe, Dub 3. These are all excellent people.
Was not
that
even
I
about
just
to pronounce this one. Not even gonna try. You guys have heard me.
Gaisagwe Echevarria.
Okay, Gaisagwe. I can say it because
Right,
you guys have
right.
heard me obliterate the English language. So there was no way I would have just said, "Hey, GE."
Right.
I can get
Yeah.
Dub. I got Wholesome Warlock, but man, that one
Right.
was never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny that you mentioned that, but now that I think about it, like, I mean, I can remember exactly what Sears that was and where it was at, but you're probably right. As this little kid, that toy department probably was. If we looked at it now, it's probably maybe the size of
Yeah, absolutely, man.
probably
I
the
think
size of a Target, toy department. Maybe not even that, but it seemed huge and
huge because we were so small. I remember looking at Castle Grayskull and I was like, "Oh my god, that thing is massive!" Like I didn't think the word massive, but
you think it's big, like
big. Like I was like, "It's so big! Like I want that!" And Castle Grayskull isn't that big. The original, it's not that big. But when you're like 5 or 6,
when you're a kid,
huge.
it is, and you can cram the figures in it and take it to grandma and grandpa's house or to your friend's house.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I think that was one of the greatest things that with Motu they did. Like they made that a carrying. It was like for G.I. Joe, like the APC. You could store all the figures in it, and then it literally had a handle, and you could take it. You weren't taking the aircraft carrier anywhere.
You're right.
You weren't taking the headquarters anywhere. It's all in pieces. The Terradrome you could, but it's so big. But Castle Grayskull, it folded up, it clipped. All the figures are in there. It had a handle, and you're like, "Let's go."
Yep.
And I would say about like for Motu, the swords, the lasers, the axes. There's a lot less chance of losing those than a tiny G.I. Joe gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's probably why they're still around. Probably not as worth as much as some of the weird G.I. Joe stuff that gets lost, and you're like, "Oh, wow."
Anything that was produced in those ridiculous numbers, because I had some G.I. Joe's original 3 3/4, like from the first wave. I had the original Snake Eyes because we had a little like, I don't know, it was called the Sprouts Rights, and it was just like one of those. They had clothes. There was this little tiny toy section. It was like a Dollar General or something like that. It just had a little bit of everything there at this store. And I remember seeing those little G.I. Joes, and they were like the coolest thing I had seen at the time. You know what I mean? I was just like, wow, those are awesome.
Now, and how do you say it again?
Gaisagwe. You can call him G. Just G. A lot of people.
Gaisagwe. It's very easy to say, but try and look at that. I like
putting it together and stuff. Yeah,
it's a cool word, Gaisagwe. I'm not going to try and pronounce the last one, but he says Sears catalog rules. Brandon R says Sears catalog got me through my early teens. Know what I mean?
Unfortunately, I do know what you mean.
We have the profit director joining in here. I just got here. So who got injured? Saving someone's life. That is what the Purple Heart is for, isn't it?
It's the Purple Gang, man. They actually have an awesome YouTube show. It's like an entertaining acid trip, but the purple, though, the reason you see so many Purple Hearts is that Purple Gang is all about good vibes and being positive and doing positive things for people. It's an awesome group of guys.
So as someone who's straight edge, who's never drank in his life, never done drugs, I do know what an acid trip is. Shouldn't an acid trip be fun and entertaining anyway? Isn't that? I don't think it always turns out, but isn't that what it's supposed to be? Like
I assume that most people do drugs to enhance their reality some way or forget something that is bothering them. So the intent is probably always for something positive. But as we know in life, what you want to be a positive thing isn't always a positive thing. So
an entertaining acid trip.
Yeah. If you watch Purple Gang, you'll be like, oh, okay. you'll totally get what I'm talking about. So
I'm sure. Well, send me a link. Like when you again,
All
by
right.
the time Friday comes around, I am if I'm not doing Punk's Pit, I usually will. If Olivia's here, my daughter,
Mhm.
we'll sit down and watch something. And you know, when you do so much YouTube, you want to disengage, just
Yeah.
decompress from it so much. And I feel bad because obviously we've grown a very large community and everyone's like, hey, did you see my live stream? And I'd be like, nope. And they're like, wow, at
Right.
least you're honest. I'm like, man, I mean I watch YouTube all the time, but I cannot watch about toys all day long.
There's so
Well,
much good content too that you just can't possibly keep up with everything. Like I have a lot of kids to help take care of and stuff, and it's just like little kids don't want to sit down and watch middle-aged men talk about adult action figures for hours. They just don't. So, you know, it's
you're like, don't they
it's
play
one of
with
those things. Like, yeah, yeah,
and you're like, well, that guy, he keeps all his stuff in the box. What? Yeah, I
right,
know.
right. Well, I have all my Mythic Legions on display, and the kids will be looking like, "Ooh, wow, that's so cool," and it's like, "Don't touch it, you know, don't you dare! I'll break your fingers, you little bastard." Like, no, I don't say that. That's a joke, just for anybody who
No, you just think it
doesn't
though.
know me.
You just think it.
Sometimes I think it.
So you said you went into Sears, which I
Mhm.
love that. I love the fact that you can remember that. Like the
Oh yeah.
little things that leave an impression on us. I think that
Mhm.
is. I mean, there's so much of that that goes through our lives, but there's just those things. So
Yeah.
you saw this Castle Grayskull. All you know is
Mhm.
it's this big giant castle that has
Yeah.
a
I have no
skyline.
idea what it is other than it looks amazing. Yeah.
So did you get into Motu? Was like that your first like toy love that you remember?
So I'm not sure when GI Joe came out, but I remember getting those guys.
That was
I
80s
didn't
kid.
finish, but I picked up
Oh
the
yeah.
first Snake Eyes, Stalker, and the Cobra enemy soldier, just the soldier. And
All
kids
right.
belong in the mines. It's pit mining, not underground. Kids belong in underground mining.
I don't.
They fit in the tunnels easier.
Prophet Director, were you even here when he was saying that that's what his job is? That's what I.
Right?
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
Just a throwaway comment, like the kids go in the mines. Yeah.
I think it might have been because I don't think he was here. Carol has joined us. All right, so you got GI Joes,
hmm
and so like, what was like your first love? Like, what was your first love of toy? Like,
Uh, it was Masters of the Universe for
okay,
sure. But I mean, I know I had a lot of GI Joes when I was a little kid, so I was really into that. But it's funny because like what I loved about Motu and what I saw then, and then it transformed when the cartoon came out. Because it was presented in a very different way than my little kid imagination was looking at these characters. Skeletor, like you look at Skeletor in the package when you're 5 and you're like, holy crap, that guy is scary. He's got like blue skin and a skull head, and then you know he's all calling people boobs and stuff on the cartoon, and then it just was totally like disarming. Like he wasn't scary at all. Merman looks like a monster, and then he has like the gargly voice or whatever, and it's just okay. I'm not scared
I
anymore.
so I have never ever thought of it like that.
Mhm.
Okay, let's quickly say hi to Digital Diarrhea and Payne's Toy Samples.
Hey, Aaron.
But it's so funny. Okay, so you say this. Okay, so you
Yeah,
say like, imagine like you see something in the packaging, all right,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden like you hear like then you hear the voice and you're like, oh wow. So
yeah. Right.
I'm gonna play a quick clip about one
Mhm.
minute. Now just
Yeah.
imagine you see this and you're like, this is awesome. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you're watching some YouTube show and then you hear something like this.
Oh, hey guys, it's Mothman again.
And Dopey.
No, you're not part of this one.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome back to the Punk with Toys for Tots streamathon. So this is going on from October 25th through October 27th, which is streaming non-stop. So we've made a whole bunch of money so far to donate for Toys for Tots, but we can still keep going. We still got some time left. So if you want to participate, you can send a super chat or a super sticker, or maybe even consider becoming a channel member. And all that money, Lawrence is going to take that and go to this really cool toy store, Sergeant Red's. He's going to buy toys, and all that's going to get donated for Toys for Tots. But anyway, we still got a whole bunch of really awesome content coming from a lot of great content creators. So let's get back to the show.
All right, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Like, in all honesty, if they ever did a Motu show and I see Moss Man, the moment I hear the voice, I'd be like, that's not his voice.
Right.
Like, we are so conditioned, but it's like when you say that, now I'm like, oh my God, that's like perfect.
Dude, and that one is done so well. Like, it's such a catchy voice. Like so many people imitate Skeletor because the voice is so well done. It's the same thing with that Moss Man commercial. The voice is so well done that you want to mimic it, you know? It's like the first time you heard Cartman from South Park.
Yeah.
You know, like it's such a distinct, funny voice that you want to imitate it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Matthew, I'm with you. We need more Dopey. And people like Curtis Ackerman here, Dub, they're probably Warlock here. They're all like,
boobs.
What the fuck is going on? And the funny thing is, that came from Hella Dope Toys. I asked Ted, I'm like, I want exclusive rights for the Moss Man commercials. So if you notice, they've made posts like, hey, I know everyone knows Moss Man from Punk's commercials, but there is a 3-part series on YouTube that no one watches because that's where it came from.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, so like they're like trying to get people to watch it because it's on their channel. I'm like, everyone knows it from but I love it. Right. I'm like, I don't want anyone else to have it. And they were like,
right.
All right, no.
I don't blame you.
I'm pushing my weight around with your toy store that you're letting me just broadcast for.
Well, you're like, there's these 6,000 subscribers seeing your commercial, so that's got to swing the bat pretty hard. So
Sarge from Sergeant Reds said, did you see the massive vintage Motu collection we just picked up, like 100 sealed pieces? I did see you post that.
Hot stuff.
Yeah, I got to get over. I got to go talk to them anyway about some other stuff, but I do got to see his new warehouse because I think he's gotten it. So the guy has so much stuff. Right. He can't stop buying stuff. Like, it is crazy. Like, I watched like the guys that were on, like when they were walking through the store on the streamathon, and I'm watching like the guys on camera and their jaws dropping. I'm like, maybe I just take this place for granted because I see this like every single day.
Right. No doubt.
So, all right. So Motu was like the first thing you kind of just fell in love with. What was it about Motu that you like? What was it about the Masters of the Universe?
I'm thinking that there was some kind of influence because my brothers were so much older. I really looked up to them. Like they were in high school when I was in kindergarten, So I was just like, oh, these guys are the coolest ever, and they're watching like Conan and Star Wars, So then I wanted to love that stuff too. And of course it was the early 80s. So they're like, hey, you're 5 and you want to watch Conan? Sure. Like bare-chested barbarians.
Who doesn't?
Personally, I prefer bare-chested Curtises, but we can't always have what we want. So I think it was their influence, though, the kind of things that they were watching and stuff. I remember seeing heavy metal when I was pretty young and stuff like that.
Oh my God. It's such a good movie.
Right. I mean, I couldn't appreciate it really like I can as an adult watching it as a kid, but these were the things that my brothers were watching and I wanted to be like my brothers. So I like those things. So when you see Motu, it's like somebody took all the cool things and just like mashed it into a toy line.
Let's be honest. At our age, heavy metal, we just wanted to watch the last one.
When I was a teenager, I watched that movie for a completely different reason. You know what I mean? For sure. The same reason that other guy was talking about the Sears catalog. So.
Yes, yes. That's what I'm saying. Like, you want to watch that last clip.
Yep.
So, were there other lines, other toys that you enjoyed? You said you had GI Joes, but like, I've been on shows with you. You've never like when we talk GI Joe, like you don't ever like jump in. So I just feel like,
because
you
I don't collect
have-
any of that now.
Okay.
And I don't want to talk about something that I don't know about and sound ignorant. You know what I mean?
But you can, you can still say, wow, that looks badass. I mean, you see that giant helicopter? I mean, I can't see it that well right now, but it's, I turned the light on.
So the Four Horsemen kind of ruined other toys for me now because that helicopter is badass, but I was just in the same room with a 4-foot dragon. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I live with the
that was
7.5. I live with a 7.5-foot aircraft carrier.
Right. It kind of ruins it for you, doesn't it? You know, you look at other things and you're just like, yeah, that's all right, I guess.
I'm with you 100% because until I saw the Cat Slayer in person, that was when I was like, I mean, you knew it was big, but when I was at PowerCon and I was going, holy shit, dude, and it's like, this is coming from someone who got a USS flag, when he was 11 years old, 85, whatever. And I wasn't 11 years old, I don't think yet. I was 10 years old. But it's like, it's huge. But to walk in, you see that, and you're like, oh, damn, this is big. And I mean, I've seen the pictures in front of the horses and everything, and you're like, I already know that that's one of those things when you see him in person, you're going to be like, God damn it.
And we kind of have a running gag because Trevor Williams is the official photographer for Four Horsemen, and people tease him like the photos don't do it justice. You don't know how cool those figures are until you hold them. And we tease Trevor about that his pictures aren't good. His pictures are amazing. But there is a level of detail that you just don't see in a photo. And like the color shading on the scale and things like that. Like when you're like a foot away from this dragon, it is man, just crazy. And Billy's got it, man.
So
Lawrence, you have to get the dragon and you have to put it on the aircraft carrier.
So I'm assuming Billy is someone who. Thank you for bringing all these new people over. It's awesome.
No problem, man. I didn't realize so many people would show up. But
I have been pleasantly surprised with some of the bigger shows that I've like these ones that I've done where some of the people were like, I was like, I didn't think so many people wanted to hear from them or hear what they had to say. And I'm so happy because I try and bring people on because I want more people to get to know them. And you also want to bring on people that are interesting. And I've always found you interesting. But back to the dragon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
back
that.
to the dragon. Well, since we started talking, like first you seemed like this quiet guy, but once you started talking, it was like there's something that you can tell, like there's a connection, like we could chat. And I mean, so far I haven't felt like I had to drag anything out of you.
No. You'll have a hard time getting me to shut up, actually.
Welcome to the club.
Right.
So back to what Billy was saying. I doubt I will get the dragon because it's not in my wheelhouse when it comes to that price. I mean, I do have some Mythic Legions, and I really do like the figure obscuras, but I'm a GI Joe guy. I'm assuming that the main one is going to be about 500. Oz says he wants to get a dragon sent to me, that someone will send it to me so I can take pictures. I already said, like, I will turn that room into an actual photo shoot, destroying, the flag, because it doesn't matter if it's a 6-inch, it's a dragon, right?
It's a huge dragon.
Yeah. So you can put it with 4-inch figures or, 1/18 scale, whatever. And Oz is like, we need to get it to you because they want to see it on a flag, which I'm thinking there's got to be somebody that collects Mythic Legions or Four Horsemen stuff that also has a flag. But I'm like, if you want to find someone that can send it to me and then we
Right,
figure out how to get it back to them. I'm cool with that. If someone wants to send me something like that to review and then put it on the flag, I'm not gonna say no.
Oh, for sure, man. For
Now,
sure.
the biggest thing would be like, I don't want to like, hey, we have someone in California. They're willing to have it shipped to you first, and then I'm like, yeah, that price to fucking ship it there, right? I
I,
don't know.
I'm going to assume that a lot of people are going to, pick up the dragon. I would imagine that somebody in Michigan is going to buy the dragon and could
Well,
let you use it over a weekend or something.
okay. Funny thing is, I went to pick up this dragonfly, and I had
Mhm.
it sent to a FedEx location because you
Mhm.
have to sign for it.
Right, right.
And I go there, and the guy is dropping him off, and I walk in, and because I stopped there on the way home from work, it wasn't there yet. And I walk in, and I'm like, I think he's delivering it right now. And she goes, "What's your name?" And I tell her my name, and she's like, "Why don't you come over here?" I'm looking like, there's two more there. I'm like, does that mean two? Wait, did two people buy them, or is it just one? Either way, I just want to hang out here and see if I make a new friend.
Right.
And luckily, I had to go to Olivia's banquet for golf. But
Mhm.
Matthew was like, "That's not really a good way to try and meet people." Because I
Right,
probably would have been like,
right.
"I'm just gonna stay here, all right?"
Hey,
The
are
guy
you
doesn't know
buying
this
toys,
long golf.
man? Want to hang out in the parking lot and play with toys?
Like, I think it's supposed to be nice. I'm like, I want to go play with my dragonfly with a bunch of friends here in
Hell yeah,
Michigan.
man. Hell yeah. I will not dispute that. I have made everybody that you're seeing in the chat is a friend that I've made playing with toys.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I have no people in here. It's not like there's any of my skateboard buddies that are watching this. It's
Right.
not like any of my
Yep.
family. I don't promote this on on my
Your
personal.
personal. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I don't want those people coming in here because they don't collect. And you have those Yahoo friends that think it's going to be really funny to make jokes, and it's like, hey, I'm cool with
Yeah.
joking, but this is not the place for it. On my
Right.
sports forum or when
Right.
we're on a sports forum, that's one thing. But like, I don't want the sports guys coming here and being all, and again, they're just trying to be, to be funny or whatever. But
Yeah, for
so
sure. But
I
they
don't
don't get
promote
it.
it.
They don't get it like we get it. Like
Yeah,
we take this
you know what?
serious.
That is probably the best way. They don't get it. And I'm
Hey,
assuming Van Johnson is one of yours here.
Van and Jordan are the purple. They started the purple gang. So those are like the main two guys. And both of them are
Okay.
super cool, nice guys. Yeah.
Van says, I escaped from Legion's Con without getting shivved by Joe. Mission accomplished.
We can when we get to our Legions Con section, I can explain the knife part too. So there was a joke made in bad taste, I guess, that the chat jumped on. So
all right. So you're in elementary school, Motu. As you start to go into middle school, I always tell people, or at least it seems like all of us, like this is when you start hiding your toys and you're only playing by yourself. Come to find out years later, almost every kid was still playing with the toys up until about 9th grade, but nobody wanted to admit it. Were you still collecting with your toys, or were you like hiding, or were you putting it away? And Curtis asked, we're in Michigan. I'm in Mount Clemens, so I'm on the east side of Detroit. Right by Clinton Township, if you know anything, Sterling Heights, east side of Detroit. So, but the Detroit area. So, and I drive all day, so I can make it pretty much anywhere. That's why driving down to Joe Fest wasn't really that big of a deal.
Right. So, I'm not really sure. I don't remember exactly.
You don't believe me?
See, my town was so small at the time.
I'm right around here. And right around here would be the shit stain that is Columbus, Ohio.
Right. My town was so small that at the time we didn't even have a middle school. There was just elementary. You went to 6 grades of elementary and then went into high school. So I guess technically my middle school was in high school.
Okay.
6, 7, 8. was probably about 8th grade. And it wasn't that I stopped playing with, I wasn't embarrassed. Like I was, so I'm going to tell a quick story. People might like this one. I don't know, but we moved here from the Bay Area when, when I was 4. My dad was still working in the Bay Area. So he would work his work week and then drive down Friday night after work to be here in Lovelock with us. So because I wouldn't see him all week, whenever he stopped to get gas at truck stops and stuff back then, for the younger folks, they would have a comic book rack and all the truck stops. My dad didn't know anything about comic books, but just so that he could bring me something, he would grab me comic books off of these comic book racks, just random ones. Billy is probably your height. So
I thought I took it, man. They're just
yeah.
And
Oh
hey,
yeah. No. This is exactly. I'll tell that story eventually too. But
if this is
they'll latch
true,
onto something and just hold on to it for dear life. No doubt, it's entertaining.
well, if that
sure.
was true, I would have stayed in high school an extra couple of years. I mean, I made it to 5'4". All right.
But so my mother, I would want her to read me the comic books, and what she did is she would say, like, okay, I'll read you, but say for example it was a Spider-Man comic. Like she said, I'll read you the comic, but you have to read everything that Spider-Man says. I actually learned to read from comic books. When I started kindergarten, I already knew how to read, and it was because I wanted to know what Spider-Man said, you know? So I always kind of like was the nerd kid, you know? Don't torture me with that, man. I'm actually a high school dropout. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually.
With all these new people, I'm gonna have to shift from being a mostly Joe channel to a Mythic Legions channel.
The coolest folks too, man. Like I know you're joking, but like these are like the coolest dudes. I just got to meet them all in person, and they couldn't be nicer. It's awesome.
And that's how I felt about Joe Fest. Like it had nothing to do with GI Joe. It could have been a Barbie convention. It was just that these people were there, and we just had such a. So
it's funny. I was actually thinking about that because I saw you right after Joe Fest, and you're like, "Oh my god, it was so cool!" You were like floating in your chair. Joe Fest was so awesome. I had such a good time, and I was kind of like, "Yeah, that's cool," you know. And then I got done with Legions Con, and I was like, "Well," but then I was like, oh my god, Legions Con was so fun. I'm just floating in my chair. Like I knew exactly that feel. I was like, I know exactly how Lawrence was feeling because that's exactly how I felt after.
Guys, I don't think people realize it wasn't that it was a GI Joe convention. It was just like all these people you've gotten to know, and you know, you're telling your kids these aren't real friends. These are people on the internet, and you're like, I have all these real friends. Even though I've never met any of them. And then when you finally get to meet them and you realize, okay, most of them are actually pretty damn cool. They're exactly what I've seen and what I've hung out with. So it gives you that sense like, all right, you know what? Maybe I've been wrong about this. But yeah, so I had a feeling a lot of people were going to feel the same way about Legions Con this year.
Oh, man.
But anyway, I know I interrupted you, but...
No, dude, totally fine. It was such an amazing experience. And after a couple days, I was like, I could have come here with $0, like bought no toys and had absolutely the best time of my life. Like it was amazing.
No, and that is exact that. I mean, I told everyone, I go, you go to Joe Fest. I could have bought everything I wanted on Friday night at Joe Fest and been done and just hung out and it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
I sparingly like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy it. I could have gotten everything that I wanted to at Joe Fest on Friday, been done, and then just Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, just hung out and had a fucking great time, and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
It's the local, it's like the local conventions or local cons you go to that it's like, you know, let's see if I can find something. I'm trying to look for this. You know, you're not going there to really hang out with people. Or meet
right. And that's the thing too. Like I kind of thought that going in, like I wanted the con exclusives and stuff, of course, but like I have a full collection. Like I have all the Mythic Legions. So I wasn't that excited to really go shopping. I wanted to see everything that the creators, because Legion's Con 2 is almost like an art show. There's so many cool things that people make themselves and come in and sell dioramas and diorama pieces and custom heads and painted custom heads and things like that. It's like an art exhibit. Yeah. Mystic Legends. But my dumb ass, I'm thinking this is my first Legion's Con. I don't really know anybody in real life. I'm going to be a wallflower, just hanging out in the back, like, oh, this is cool, kind of thing. I walked through the door the first day and like 6 people were like, Joe, and came like running over to me. Guy Segway, he's this freaking tall AF. G is a little tiny dude. He's like action figure sized. That guy ran so fast and crashed into me so hard. I thought he was going to knock me down to give me a freaking hug. If you don't think that feels good to have people that excited to see you, it's like I'm not a celebrity, but I got to feel like a celebrity for 4 days. It was pretty awesome.
That is exactly how I felt at Joe Fest.
Yeah.
At PowerCon, a few people recognized me. I knew going to Joe Fest that obviously there would be more people because I'm so G.I. Joe heavy with,
right.
I knew it, but it is, it's so weird. And you're really heavy with, if someone called it when they said, I rag everything except for Mythic Legends. So
yeah,
except when I do reviews of Mythic Legends, I'm like, how many? I've done like maybe 10,
right.
But I mean, I don't know.
They're all great reviews though, because I love your Mystic Legends reviews because you're coming at it with that point of view. When I first saw those figures, when I first got them in hand and I was looking at them, like you sound like what I felt like seeing those figures for the first time, and right on. Thanks, Curtis.
Yeah, I said I had to get one just so I could just know what it's like because everyone tells me.
Right.
And then the one that I got, I really liked. And everyone's like, people were like, I wish you would have got a different one. That was one of the older ones, and the newer ones are really are so much better. I'm like, did you not hear how much I raved? I mean,
right, yeah. There's no bad figures in that line. Like they're all good.
No,
yeah.
I'm with you. Like everyone that I see it looks good. Again, it's not so much my thing. If G.I. Joe wasn't so big, I would probably go in the fantasy realm, which is weird because I'm so heavy military based.
Right.
With G.I. Joe, and I was so excited for so excited for Operation Monster Force. And I used to do Olivers, but I've gotten out of that. But it's kind of crazy that it's all that.
Yeah, you don't have to be like pigeonholed into anything though. I always say I like what I like,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like I can sit down and watch, like First Blood and be like, this movie is amazing. But then I can watch Excalibur and be like, this movie is amazing. I can't say, well, I like Rambo, so I can't like Excalibur. No, you like what you like,
Isn't that weird? Like I like Star Wars, so I can't like Star Trek. It's like you can like both.
I one time I got in a car with my buddy to go on a ride out of town, and he started his car and
Joe has just froze. It's not me. But
sorry about that.
Joe and his mining internet.
It's this weird. So I have trees all around my house. So even though I have really good satellite internet, every once in a while it catches a tree branch and then it's got to jump to another satellite. And that takes 5 to 10 seconds. So there's just like these little hiccups, but,
dramatic.
There's a Mariah Carey CD. I'm not a fan of that, kind of music. And he's like, oh yeah. My sister used my car, I was like, dude, like what you like. I'm not going to think less of you because you have a Mariah Carey CD. Just because it's not my thing, I'm not going to think less of someone else for liking what they like,
No, I'm with you. Listen, I'm a skateboarder. I think we've all established that at one point that I may have mentioned that.
You might have.
Yeah, I hate soccer. I fucking hate soccer. I think it's a boring ass fucking sport.
Right.
And I hate golf too. But my daughter, she
Yeah.
decided to pick up golf, and I went with her. I didn't play. I went with her, and I was just excited to watch her. But I would tell people like, "Hey, you know what? Golf sucks," and they would say, "What if I said skateboarding sucks?" I'd go, "Awesome. It doesn't
Right.
change the way I feel, and I
Yeah.
want someone to kick back at me." Just like I'm a punk rocker, man, and I'll be like, "Dude, that music sucks." Well, what if I say punk sucks? It doesn't change all the fun that I had at all the concerts I go to.
Right.
Just like when I say that to you, I just want you to be able to like say, you know what, fuck you, and just have a backbone, and then we can have a back and forth conversation.
Right. And what I tend to say, instead of saying that a certain kind of music or a certain song sucks, I'll say I understand why people like it.
See, that's what I normally don't understand.
Right.
I
Well, no,
I
that's
don't
like
understand.
the pop music, you know. Like I don't like pop music really, but I get why they like it. You know what I mean?
Oh, you had to
It's
bring up Mariah Carey and here. This girl actually likes that Christmas song of hers.
yeah, and I mean, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. You do you, Allison.
The problem is Allison will start sending it to you in every fucking form known to mankind, all right? And she's like, "You can't get rid of me because I have your personal Facebook, I have your YouTube one. Oh, don't forget,
Right.
I have your personal Instagram. Oh, I also can just text it to you because I have your phone number."
Right. Right.
Yeah, Allison says I'm a walking contradiction.
Right.
Guys, we are all over the place. We haven't even made it to high school yet here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait
Sorry.
a minute.
Sorry. My bad. My bad.
Well, I believe, dude, you've heard me. You've watched this show before. I don't ever stand. I don't ever stand
Right.
topic. And then you give me someone else that can talk. That yeah, it's going to be bouncing around, but
Right.
I don't mind.
We're having fun. That's the important part. Number one.
No, it seems entertaining. People are watching, and that's isn't that why we watch on YouTube? I mean, I hate to say it. I watch
absolutely.
YouTube shows and some really good people, and it's just like, God damn, you're fucking boring. I really like you, but God, I'm gonna watch some murder mystery over here on this other channel.
Right.
Give you a
Right.
like and
I hear what you're saying for sure.
I totally forgot what we were talking about. Do you remember? You see,
Going way back, it was middle school when I stopped playing with toys.
it was middle school when you were in high school for 6 years, and that's why you're so
Yeah, well, that's the thing. There was no middle school, but I don't think I ever stopped being interested in toys and comics and cartoons and things like that. It was just until I was 18, you know, like then I had to take care of a pregnant wife, so all that stuff ended at 18, you know. But up until then, like my friends were all into the same thing that I was and throw video games in there, you know, we were video gamers. And then when I was 15, I discovered Dungeons and Dragons. And that was the end of it, man. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for 32 years. So,
so I don't know what Billy means by 30-minute intros, if he means just like the intro music or someone who rambles on, because if so,
I'm thinking he's saying that the rambling for 30 minutes. I'm thinking,
yeah, you may just want to avoid my Monday show then. Because I don't even get into I don't even get into what the news till what.
But you interact with chat and stuff. It's not really an intro, like that's your show, is like interacting with the chat and talking about subjects and things like that. So I don't think that you're in that ballpark what he's talking about. Some people just like to hear themselves talk.
Yeah, I hate hearing my voice, but man, I can talk. That's
oh yeah, for sure.
It is weird because I'm up there alone, like just rambling on.
Yeah,
for, you know, it usually doesn't even.
Hey, respect, man. That I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do a show by myself. I'm just not. I'm not interesting enough. I'm not interested enough in anything, I don't think, to have something to talk about on a weekly basis for 3 hours. Yeah.
Sometimes it can be difficult when there isn't a lot of stuff. Kenzo, weren't we talking about how punk music isn't really that good? You have a typo in here, how punk music is great. So I'm not really sure. I don't know how you typed that wrong, but it's okay. All right, you're allowed to make a mistake here and there. All right, so You said you're in high school, and you said
Yeah.
16 years old, you find Dungeons and Dragons.
15. 15. I couldn't
15.
drive yet. Yeah.
So you sound like a lot of my friends. And then they found Magic the Gathering. Now,
Yeah,
did you
I
get into
never
Magic?
super got into Magic. I know when it was new, some of my friends liked it, and I gave it a try, but it really it just didn't grab me. I lie. Okay. But it didn't grab me the way D&D did. D&D was like an escape, where you could just turn off the rest of the world and be somebody else for a while. Like you didn't have problems,
Now,
Um,
I played Dungeons and Dragons and was entertained by it. I remember
Mhm.
my friend always trying to get us to play Magic, and I could not have been border in my life. Like, no. Chris, I love you,
right.
dude. You know what? We'll hang out. We'll go
Yeah.
skate together. But when it's time for you to play Street Fighter 2, you guys go do that and go play your
Right.
Magic, and I'll continue to
Right.
skateboard or
Yeah.
do whatever I did, which is pretty much skateboarding.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that never, and I'm glad it's still around, and obviously it's great. And
Oh,
I know
yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons are still just it's still
Dude, it's
going.
bigger than it's ever been. And Mythic Legions just announced, or Four Horsemen just announced that they're doing a Mythic Legions RPG. So
Yeah,
there's
I
going to
saw that.
be Mythic Legions D&D, and I couldn't be more. I'm actually more excited about that than I am about the dragon, to be honest.
Well, it's more affordable.
Right? Yeah,
It's more affordable.
that is true. That is true.
All right, so you said you find D&D, and then you said
Mhm.
you got a girlfriend pregnant.
When I was 18. But that's
I was
so.
gonna say, like, usually those words don't go hand in hand. I found D&D and got a girl pregnant. Like those normally don't go hand
So
in
you
hand.
gotta understand though. Even though I started playing D&D when I was 15, I was pretty miserable in school. I didn't really get picked on or anything because I was a big kid, and I don't know. In the community, it was like if you're gonna run your mouth, you better be able to back it up. That was just how school was when I went
Yeah.
to school, and so I didn't really get picked on or anything, but I was so bored there, and it wasn't for me. So I decided I was going to drop out when I turned 16, and I was already like skipping school to play D&D and stuff like that anyways, which is awful. Kids, please don't do that. I remember telling my dad, I was like I want to drop out of school, and he said, yeah, okay, somebody's got to dig the ditches. And at that age, I didn't really understand what he was talking about, but like how much harder your life is without an education. 100%. Like I didn't get it, but
For the record, I live closer to Canada than any state. So in theory, someone telling me that may not have been lying, even though I know they were.
Gotcha. But I took my GED before I dropped out of school. So I actually had a high school equivalency before I dropped out. But
You
when
can
I
do
dropped
that?
out, yeah. I mean, I just asked to take it. You can take it anytime.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had a high school equivalency when I was 15 years old. And then in my teenage know-it-all dumbass brain, I was like, I'm too smart for school, I don't need no schooling, and ended up dropping out. But but then I was also starting to grow like a mustache at 15. Like I matured pretty early on and stuff. So some of the older kids, for some reason, I guess people have always been drawn to my mustache. It's weird. I can't explain it. But
I've
I
been
started hanging out with
growing since 15, and this is
right.
all that I've gotten to.
So, I started hanging out with the kids who partied, So from 16 to 18 was kind of a nonstop party. I mean, I had a job because of course, my dad said, if you're not going to go to school, you're going to go to work. So I got a job on a ranch as a ranch hand. And I would just, like I'd work all day and party all night. That was just how it was. Again, not something that I'm proud of now, but that's yeah. But so when you're just drinking and doing all the other things that are associated with parties, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to end up like hooking up with a girl, and maybe you're not thinking so much about what you want out of a relationship. You know what I mean? You're really caught up in that moment. So then you get her pregnant. So you get married, and then you're married for 10 years and it ends in a pretty horrible divorce because you're young and you don't know what you're trying to get out of a relationship. You know what you want, but you don't know what you're trying to get out of a relationship. So
can you hold 1 second here?
Here comes the
absolutely.
money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And Curtis Ackerman with the $1.99 super chat. When did Joe start the band Anthrax?
Yeah.
And God damn it, I'm never not going to be able to see it.
Right.
All right. Now I'm just going to Scott Ian. All right.
Right.
Can you? Are you the man?
I wouldn't say so,
Anthrax
but maybe some other people would.
So
Go
Anthrax
ahead,
was like my first favorite metal band.
Mm-hmm.
So like my first favorite
definitely.
metal band was Anthrax. Until The Sound of White Noise came out. And then I went, this is fucking trash. Why did you make this?
Right.
But I absolutely love Persistence of Time. It was like that's like my favorite Anthrax album. Just every song on that is just fucking. Thanks, Curtis, for getting us off track.
Right. Yeah. Like it's hard to do, right?
Yeah, now I want to go listen to Persistence of Time.
Right.
Which was it was always funny because it's spelled pot, and you're like, yeah, I'm straight edge.
Right.
I don't do that shit, but all right. Oh, hey, look at Joe froze again, and I look like crap. So this is amazing. I don't even know how I got such a bad signal here, but man, it is fucking nuts.
You sound fine, and that's the important part.
Yeah, as long as people can hear me, then I'm perfectly happy about that. So, all right. So you get someone pregnant at 18.
Yeah.
Who you married? You said.
Yeah, because the way that I grew up, if you do things, you take responsibility for. It's your decision. You do those things. You take responsibility for it. So she got pregnant. Hey, I married her, got myself a job. It's time to be a family man.
And were you?
Yeah, I was. We all have our flaws. I'm sure I wasn't perfect.
Oh yeah,
but
no.
I always worked and always took care of my kids.
So you dropped out of school. You get a GED. For the record, you're not the first dropout that I've had on here. Thank you to Eric Toynhancer, who said, okay, so you graduated high school. He goes, I didn't graduate. I'm like, motherfucker, thanks a lot. Like, I'm like cruising along, and he's like, I didn't graduate. Like, oh, son of a bitch.
Right. But and I don't want to I don't want to make it sound like it was a good thing or that I'm proud of that fact, because I'm not. I've told all of my three boys, like my two oldest boys have graduated already, my youngest boy, but I told all of them, you're going to graduate high school. What you do after that, I don't have any control. Once you're 18, you do what you want, but you're going to graduate high school, because you're not going to have that feeling of like I had. I wish I had stayed in the school.
No, and I fully get that, because my son, he's going to college right now and he's struggling. And college is not for everyone.
Right.
But you have to, in this day and age, you really have to have something like, hey, I don't want to go to college. All right, awesome. What do you want to do?
Right.
because I want
Yeah.
you to have some sort of plan of what you're looking to do, because you can't just live in my house and play video games all day. That's just
Yes.
that's not happening. All right.
Absolutely.
Um,
Well, it's this kind of my father is in like very intelligent. He's 85 now, so this was quite a time ago, but he was actually so smart and did so well in school. They moved him ahead 2 grades, and because he could do the education at that level. He hated it. He says now that he wished that he hadn't agreed to do that because he was so young compared to everyone else that it was in his grade that it was pretty miserable for him
you lose your
physically.
childhood.
You're right, right.
Yeah.
But
You
he
lose your
went to
childhood.
college and went to college for 2 years. He was smart enough to do the work, but he said he was just bored all the time. Like he wanted to be a veterinarian, but like just the school environment and everything like that. And here's this super intelligent guy. He's like, I'm going to drop out of college because it's just not for me, and go do hard physical work my entire life because that's what I feel most comfortable doing. So everybody has their path is what I'm saying with that story,
No, I'm
So my
no, I'm
current
with you 100%.
says that I'm annoyingly positive. So you're not the only one, Wade.
Hey, you know what? It's better to be positive than to just be completely negative. But what you're saying about like, wait, what about your dad? Like my daughter, she's in like all these advanced classes and AP classes and all this other stuff, and
Mhm.
they wanted her to do competitive cheer, and she never done cheer, but she used to do gymnastics, so she
Right.
can do all the flips and everything. And when
Mhm.
she saw that it was like the time was going to be 4 days a week, 5:30 to 8:30, she's like, I don't even have time to do, it's hard enough to do all my homework as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, are you okay with like? Well, I know you're passing all these classes, but I don't want you to miss out on high school. Like I don't want high school to
Right.
come and go, and you're looking back at it when you're now an adult. But she wants to be a lawyer, all right, and she probably will because she's extremely smart. But it's like
Right.
I don't want you to look back at it and be like, I totally missed my time. I wish I would have
Right.
studied more in school, but at the same time, I spent time skateboarding, and I can look back at those times and be like, I loved it. I had an
Right.
absolute fucking blast.
Yeah.
So, I fully understand what your dad was saying to you. Like I'm watching my
Yeah.
daughter, and I'm like, I want you to enjoy it, but I don't want you to enjoy it too much. Like I want you to
Yeah.
still have, you know, and I think she is because she's like she knows what she wants to do. I'm like, all right, cool.
Well,
So
and this is the thing. Being an adult kind of stinks. Hey, and there's the man right there. Trevor Williams, 1-6 shooter. You see all those amazing Mythic Legions photos? That's the
oh,
guy.
dude,
He's the
yeah.
official photographer for
Oh no, yeah.
Forest Studios.
I've talked to him on the
Hey, good one.
clubhouse a few times. Yeah, his
Yeah,
photography is amazing. There's a
amazing.
few guys in
Amazing.
the industry. The guy that does all the GI Joe shots, he does
Mhm.
great stuff. And then
Absolutely.
it's amazing some of these fuckers are doing what some of these people are doing on Instagram, and you're just like, sometimes I
Yeah.
make a good shot, and I'm like, it was all due to the iPhone. I just post
Right.
it.
Right.
It's all because of this thing. Not that you guys can see it because
Yeah.
I seem to be all jittery today.
Right. Right.
Um,
I'm with you.
normally my show is not like this. I don't look this bad, but I look this bad. But
It's fine. It's fine.
like
Just
I
don't
said, as
stare at
long
them
as
for too
everyone's
long. You'll go cross-eyed, but just look away for a little
yeah,
bit and then come
I
back.
was going for the max headroom look today.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you during this whole time, were you still collecting? Like you were doing Dungeons and Dragons, so you had no shame.
Right. No, absolutely. I've never been ashamed to be me. If someone is going to not like me because I collect toys or play a game, hey Paul, I absolutely did. genuinely had a good time, like the best time at Legion's Con. If someone doesn't like me because of something like Dungeons and Dragons or that I collect toys or something, then they don't need to associate with me. That's okay. Nothing against them. That's fine. But I'm not going to pretend to be a person that I am not just so that people like me, because the people that like me for who I am are the people that I want to give my time to. So.
No, and that's exactly it. Like I've said it before. You know, I grew up a skateboarder and a punk rocker, and I didn't really give two shits. Like it's like, this is who I am. But I was, in high school. No, go on.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was in high school. I associated with a lot of different people because I didn't care. And because of that attitude, it was like I could go hang out with the jocks and the burnouts. It didn't really matter. But my other friends were like, "Why are you hanging out with them?" It's like, because I like them. I'm not going to be hanging out with them, going to parties all the time because that's not my interest. But I can go to a party every now and then. I can go hang out with them. You know, I grew up with some of these kids. Like, just because now they're a jock and I'm a skateboarder, we fucking played G.I. Joe together in elementary school. Why do we have to dislike each other?
Yes. And you'd be surprised how many of those people that aren't into that stuff actually have a real appreciation for it. They just don't talk about it.
Wait, you know what? But you know what it is now? You look at this day and age, and all these athletes are into superheroes, and they collect toys. So and actors,
anime and video games.
Yeah, I would talk to the kids when I went back to skateboarding after my ex and I split up. So at 40, so 8 years ago, right? And I talked to these younger guys, and some of them become really good friends of mine because they were young when I met them. Now they're in their mid-20s, and they're like, I don't understand this attitude that you get. Like, you say people don't want you skateboarding at your age. I'm like, I understand. Like, when I was growing up, the old guy skateboarding, that was Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk's only like 7 years older than me.
Right.
Like, this generation, we've paved a way, to skateboarding is okay to do when you're 40. You go out and play basketball, no one thinks anything about it. You play ice hockey, no one thinks anything about it. But a 40-year-old, a 45-year-old, and almost 49-year-old, they're skateboarding. Another 49-year-old's like, isn't that a little dangerous? It's like, I ain't doing giant fucking handrails.
Right.
I'm not skating the mega ramp. All right.
But to me, it's all about
second nature.
Right. And it's all about perception too. I know when I was in high school, I skateboarded when I was in high school because I had friends who were skateboarders, and skateboarders were kind of thought as hooligans back then, Well,
very much so.
So it was like
very much so.
and were we hooligans? I want to say yes to a degree. I mean, I'm sure some were worse than others, but did we kind of bunk the system a little bit? Yeah, it was like I run okay, so I don't run at my age now at all, but when I was a kid, there was a few times we had to run from the cops. It was just like, if they said don't skate on the courthouse steps, that was like putting up a sign that said skate on the courthouse steps. It was just
every time I see a no skateboarding sign, I tell my kids that's just a suggestion.
Yeah.
It's not a rule, it's a suggestion. And the funny thing is, I was watching this Thrasher thing with Jamie Foy, pro skater, and he saw the sign and he's like, yeah, those are just suggestions. And I was like, yes.
Right. They got to stop.
But it's very true. Like, they don't really mean it. They're just, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, but if you do it, it's cool.
Right. Yep.
So you were playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, the collecting thing, I think we got offhand, or maybe you told me and I totally forgot. I'm so distracted by how blurry I am, and it's driving me fucking nuts. It's already weird enough seeing like a delay of like 3 or 4 seconds with my hands going. God knows my hands are a lot.
So everyone, for the rest of the show, Lawrence will be wearing a blindfold so that he can't get distracted by seeing himself.
I could turn it off, but I'm choosing not to.
No, you're fine, man. I'm just messing around.
Actually, I probably should. Maybe that's what's. I don't know why I don't have a good signal. Anyway, doesn't matter.
You just cleared up again, so
I just watched it jump. Maybe that's
Right.
what it is. I probably need to restart the computer and everything. But anyway, forget it. All right. So were you collecting? Were you picking stuff up, or when did you? Because you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you kind of, I mean, that type of stuff. It kind of gives you that street cred.
I bought a lot of D&D books over that time period, but I wouldn't call it collecting. You know, when you're playing D&D and a new book comes out, we'll call it they call it a supplement, for example. You know, it's like here's the main, you have the main book, you're running your campaign, and then they come out, here's the desert book. And you're like, oh man, I want to run a game in the desert. You know, I got to have that book. So I'd buy it, but I didn't think of it as collecting like I collect now, you know. But I also didn't have much money. I was not wealthy. There was some real struggle times. I actually lived in a house with my wife and my son where there was the only electricity was an extension cord run from the neighbor's house for a year. So you know, and I had a wood stove because I could get wood for free to burn to keep the house warm, but it had an electric fan on it. So I couldn't have the light and the stove plugged in at the same time, you know, and stuff like that. So, they were challenging times. I think it makes me appreciate my life now a lot more though. So I don't see it as necessarily a negative time in my life. It was a great learning experience for me to dig myself out of this hole and get to the point where I can go and, you know, do a $500 pre-order of Mythic Legions and then think back to the day that it was like, we ate a lot of ramen noodles, you know, like.
Just funny. My kids love ramen noodles right now.
Oh man, like ramen noodles are great. I'm not putting them down, but at the time you could get a pack of ramen noodles for like 30 cents, you know.
Well, I do my 6-pack for like $2.50 right now.
You're right, right.
But they love it. Like, I'm like, all right. And
they're really good. They're just packed full of sodium.
Yeah, they're not healthy for you, but
no, I ate a lot of them when I was young. Now, like, I'll enjoy a ramen noodle every once in a while. I do some killer ramen noodle recipes, but if I eat them on a regular basis, I start feeling like, you know, lethargic. So it's once or twice a week's probably enough.
There's some foods that are like that where you're like, this sounds really good. And then you're like, that's why I stopped eating it.
Right, right.
It seems like such a good idea. All right. So you said you were buying books, but you really didn't realize you were collecting.
Yeah, and I didn't really collect anything. It wasn't in the budget. Like, I'd get a video game every great once in a while, but like my focus at the time was 100% on my family. Like, I'd buy my kids a toy before I'd worry about anything for myself, you know.
As it should be. Like,
that was just my mindset, you know, at the time. What changed that was divorce. Because all of a sudden, I was in the house by myself. You know, I got divorced when I was 28, and I'm just home alone. And so I started drinking because, you know, of some depression issues. And I was just boozing my life away, and it was miserable, you know, going to work and everything, feeling like crap because I drank all the time. And so I discovered eBay, and I was just like, okay, well, here's a chance to get some of these things I missed out on over the last 10 years. And we would split the kids. I had shared custody, so she would have the kids for a week, I'd have the kids for a week, you know, and
so you had
back and forth.
You had 2 kids with her?
Yeah, my oldest too.
Because you didn't say you had a second kid. I didn't know what the timeline was.
They're about 5 years apart.
Okay.
So yeah. And I usually make an inappropriate joke at this time when people are like, why are your kids? Because each of my kids, it was like, I have 3 kids and they're all 5 years apart. I usually make like my pullout game was strong, you know, like, but not strong enough to not have any kids. So I guess my pullout game was medium, you know. That's my usual joke. Sorry if that's inappropriate. Kids shouldn't be watching this show anyways.
No, but that is definitely a dad joke.
Right. So, but then the week that I didn't have my kids, I'd order a bunch of stuff, and then when they would come back, we would open toys together,
Oh,
just
okay.
to enjoy that time together, So that ended up being a routine for very. I was running it through my head, like, should I make that joke? Because I know it's inappropriate. I really shouldn't, but also it's
That-
funny. I'm
No,
always torn between inappropriate and funny.
that
But
stuff here doesn't bother me. It's
okay, all right, cool.
I think I've let people know what like can't. Well, I mean, you've seen me go off on a few streams, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. I know I see that kind of stuff in the chat all the time. So
Yeah, that doesn't bother me. I mean, that's not I mean, it's cross. It's tinkering that line, but you're not saying anything awful.
right.
I mean, again, you saw when people kind of implied that I was something, and I kind of lost it. And people said, "You got to focus on that." I'm like, you know what? Someone says that about you or implies that about you. Yeah, I hope you're screaming about it.
Well, there's definitely a line. There's definitely a line that people should not cross. So I agree with that 100%. But that's when I really got back into wrestling, and my kids and I enjoyed wrestling, into getting action figures. My kids and I enjoyed watching wrestling together. So
okay,
golly. So I'm still recovering from the con, because I got back from, flew back from the con. It's a 7-hour flight. I got back at 3:00 in the morning, had to be up at 6 a.m. to take the kids to school, back to work the next day. Like, I'm surprised my brain's even functioning at all. But
we all said the Joe Fest hangover is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like a week later, and you're like, "Oh my god, dude!"
At least you guys are East Coast, so I'm on Pacific time. So I get there, and it's like I get up at 6 a.m. That's 3 a.m. for me physically, So there was a whole lot of adjustments that needed to be made. But so I just started buying toys so that my kids and I would have some fun things to do together. And then I did that for years, for a couple years, like 2 years before I met the woman who had become my second wife. So we ended up, I still think, even though I have this impressive Mythic Legions collection, Jack specific WWE figures, like I have more of those than I think any other action figure line, just because I bought so many because my kids and I were so into it together, at the time.
1 second here.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Frostbite's G.I. Joe Repro with the $2 super chat. Some great mustaches here. Good day, everyone.
Oh yeah, thanks, man.
I never thought. I was shaving this for a while, and I was like, I never liked mustaches. But then I was just like, it actually looks pretty good, because this is all that I can grow. I can't grow a beard. Like, this is
Right.
I can grow strands. There's
Right,
strands that come. Like, can the rest of you fucking come in? I'm almost 49. All right.
Right. Yeah. So my interesting beard choice, I'll tell this story real quick, is because we were talking about, like bunking authority early on. Here I am, an old man. I want to have a full beard. This isn't a style choice. At my work, I have to be able to wear a respirator because there's crystal and silica in what we mine, cristobalite, which is really dangerous. It can give you like black lung and stuff like that. So I want a full beard, and they were like, no, you have to shave. So like I shaved this part, and I was like, I get a good seal with my respirator. Like, I can pass the fit tests. And they're like, no, that's just setting a bad example. And I was like, if I can pass the fit test, you can't make me shave. So there are times that I get sick of taking care of this beard, and I'm just like, I can't shave, because then my work will be like, we got him, and I can't give them that satisfaction. So I keep this.
You're basically scared if you shaved it off, they wouldn't let you grow it back in.
It's not even that. It's just that even if they had a bit of satisfaction for a second, we're like, we got Joe to shave his beard, and I'm just not going to give that to them. So yeah,
I had my hair grow out to be, and this was just a few years ago, 10
Mhm.
inches. So it was all the way down. And my boss would always say, he always made comments because and he didn't care, but there was another manager, and he'd be like, dude, just fucking let it go, dude. He goes, I don't. My boss is actually younger than me, like a couple years
Uh-huh.
younger than me. And he was like, dude, just fucking let it go, dude. Like, it's not, it's always combed.
Right.
He's been here for 20 plus years. You know, like, it's just, and I thought it was the owner. Well, come to find out, it was actually the sales manager that had this. Is he going to? Is he like depressed? Is he midlife crisis? He's like, he just grew out his hair. He combs it. He combs it. It's never dirty.
Right.
You know, like
You're not showing up looking like a homeless guy.
Yeah. So when he told me who it was, finally, I was like, fuck him. And I did exactly that. Like, while I thought everyone, like when I thought it was the owner, and I actually have a good relationship with the owner,
Mhm.
he's like, Dave didn't care. Dave didn't give two shits. He goes, there was the other. But while I knew that it was bothering people, I'm like, I'm not getting rid of this.
Right.
Until I was just finally like, all right, time to shave it. And I
Right.
shaved it
Right.
completely
When you
bald.
wanted to. Yeah. Not because of anybody else.
And there probably was some times when I was like, I don't even. And it was funny because like when I finally shaved it, there was one girl that she's like, I can't believe you shaved your head. I go, you realize there was two people the whole time my hair was long that said they liked it. The moment I shaved it, everyone was like, man, you look so much better. Like,
Right.
I'm like,
Isn't that always the way?
it wasn't helping me. All right. It wasn't helping me at all.
Yeah. I always say that with girls flirting with me. Like I was single for 8 years, and like it felt like women never flirted with me. As soon as I'd get a girlfriend, like it would happen all the time. And it would like kind of frustrate me. It was like, where were you last year when I was looking, that kind of stuff. But I don't know.
But GI bro, I am not reading that. Though I read it. I'm trying not to laugh, but I will not highlight it.
Right.
I can't believe Matthew hasn't even messaged me going, don't fucking read that.
Yeah. Right on.
I have a dark sense of humor. I have a dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
So that does not offend me at all.
No, me either.
Matthew actually deleted them. So you and I are the only ones that can see them. I
gotcha. Okay.
All right.
How funny.
Sorry, GI bro. He deleted it. I hung out with him at Joe Fest. He's a good guy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I
got what he was saying. Yeah.
I don't, but the way YouTube and how people are, and I know now we're having this inside conversation. Everyone's like, what did he type? Well, guess what? You're never going to know unless if Joe tells you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Ben said he saw them. So some of them came through. Anyway. All right. So you get divorced. You start collecting toys for your kids. That's how it all starts, right? Well,
of course. Of course.
I kept all my G.I. Joe stuff. And I was collecting before I had kids, but not like I am now. That's for sure.
I had actually not gotten rid of anything. All of my childhood toys were in a shed in boxes until my kids were old enough to play with them. And then my parents, without asking me, just went and was like, here, play with all this stuff. And I was heartbroken because they broke things and lost stuff. And yeah, it was a little tough. So
the only stuff I kept was my G.I. Joe stuff. And I've talked about this. I don't know why. And I don't even know what happened to all my other stuff. Because I had Motu stuff. I had Transformers. But G.I. Joe was obviously the biggest stuff. And I remember setting up the aircraft carrier for Andrew to play with. Mm-hmm. And he was big into the Avengers. And he'd always ask me, can I use it as a helicarrier? I'm like, it is your imagination. Which I'm like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
He has like this attachment to like this helicarrier. And he's imagining that it's flying and everything. But I would give him some of this. I would give him some of the stuff. And I told him, I go, hey, I don't want this stuff to break. But if it breaks because you're playing with it, that's fine. But if I ever hear that you're smashing it, you're mad, I'll take it all away. Right. And I came home from work, and my Conquest, as one of the planes, he had it had chipped one of the wings.
Mhm.
And he came right up to me and he said, I'm real sorry. I this broke. And, his mom was right there. And I go, well, what happened? And he goes, well, I was flying it and I went upside down like this. And the bottom piece was really loose. So it came off and it fell.
Mhm.
And I said, well, were you being rough with it? No. I go, well, did you throw it because you were mad? And he goes, no. I go, then it's okay.
Yep.
I mean, these toys were meant to be played with. I don't want it to be broken, but you weren't trying to break it on purpose. You were
Right.
You were playing with the
Playing
toy
with- Yeah.
when it happened, and this thing's fucking 30 years old.
Yeah.
I probably didn't say that this thing's fucking. Probably said
You're
this thing's 30 years old. It's,
Yeah. No, I know it. I know what you mean.
And again, like to me, it was such a good lesson. It wasn't a good lesson. It was a good moment for me because he wanted to come up and tell me that he did this and take responsibility for it. I don't know what's happened since then because it's completely different, but
Yeah, no, they change. They change because that everybody who's starting out like young people when they have kids and they're like, oh my God, he's in the terrible twos. And I'm like, wait until they're 14. Yeah, you will be missing the terrible twos.
yeah, twos. Oh my God, dude, I take that any day.
Absolutely.
A matter of fact, I've heard so many people like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I don't have girls." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I would take my daddy's girl every single day because
Yeah.
my son has been a terror.
Right.
And this one here, like, let's watch the show. Matter of fact, she's the one that got aggravated with me because I said, "Hey, I know I watched Buffy, and I got her to watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so we're watching it now. We actually watched an episode before this." But I
Right.
fell asleep during the 2 episodes I wanted her to watch. I'm like, well, let me go back and rewatch it. And I didn't go back and rewatch it. We watched the whole series of Suits, which is 9 seasons. And
Oh,
mind you, she
damn.
doesn't live with me full time. She's like 50-50, right?
Right.
But we made it through that. And she's like, are you ever going to watch those 2 episodes? I'm like, let's just go because
Yeah.
I've already seen the series.
Yeah. Right.
So during that time, we watched the whole thing. We watched Disney shows.
That's awesome, man. Awesome.
I'm like, I think we're in like season 4 of Buffy. I think there's like 8 or 9 seasons, and there's the whole series of Angel. I'm like, we got a lot to get through.
Heck yeah.
But I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah,
I was gonna be here.
Right. Someday they won't want to, like you said, they won't want to spend time with you, and that's.
I think this one's gonna be a little different. I think she just enjoys it.
Yeah.
Even if it was like to watch a movie.
But when they get their own lives, like my son my oldest boy is 28, and we always had the same interests. We always liked the same things. He moved to Virginia. He's on the East Coast now, and it's like we can't hang out even if we wanted to. So that's life. Like those things happen, and I don't take it personal or anything like that. It's not like he wasn't trying to get away from me or anything. That's where his work went. But I appreciate the time that I did have with him. That's for sure.
No, and that's just it. I mean, they have to have their own. Even though I told my daughter, I'm like, you can't move out of state. You want to be a lawyer? They need lawyers in Michigan. All right.
Right.
You ain't going to New York. You want to go to University of Michigan.
Yeah. Relationships ruin everything though, because then she's gonna meet a boy, and then everything changes with relationships. Yeah.
The good thing is her mom is kind of a helicopter parent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the one that she will mostly come to when it's like, so she has her. I'm like, I'm sure you bitched to me about mom. I'm sure you bitched to mom about me. And she's like, I don't.
Right.
Like, you don't do anything that makes me mad.
Right.
I'm hearing the exact opposite. Like when I'm like, oh, maybe your mom cares, and and then I try and say something to my ex, and she's like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just trying to tell you how she's feeling. But it's okay for her to tell me when like, oh, well, they, this is what you make them feel like. Like, all right, well, I'm glad I try and tell you, just trying to help your relationship with them.
I don't want to talk about double standards. That's for sure. Because your show's not long enough for that.
All right. So you're having your kids, and that's how you found eBay. So you said you were 28 when you got divorced. So
Mhm.
that's what year
10
is that?
years. 10
Yeah,
years of
I'm
marriage.
trying to think what year, but what year is that eBay?
Let's see. I got married in 96. So 2006 is when I got
Okay.
divorced. Yeah.
God, I can't believe 2006 is fucking almost 19 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
Easy to think about.
Mhm.
So when do you meet like your next wife?
I
I'm
think
assuming-
I think it took about 2 years, maybe not quite 2
Okay.
years, because I was still going. My divorce, my first divorce, went through court, and it drug out forever. And I was still going through that when I met the woman who would end up becoming my second wife. And then we got together, and she had 2 kids, and I had 2 kids, and in a relatively short amount of time, we had one together. So then it was 5 kids and 2 adults in the household, and the divorce that was going through court did not come out well. I'll say, um, it was planned out very well. There was things like the fact that I was giving her money even after we had separated. Yeah, right. And she, at the time, this was before everything was done online. I had uh, the checkbook records.
Yeah.
She took all my checkbook records.
Oof.
So when we went to court, I couldn't prove anything because I didn't have my checkbook records to show what I'd actually done. Just things like that. By the way, I have a fine relationship with both of my exes now. I wish them all the best. I don't, no ill will. Like if they won the lottery, I would be thrilled for them. We don't hang out or anything because we are not friends. But I'm past any bitterness in my life. These are just things that happened, lessons that I learned. I don't want to come off as bitter, but life was hard because I got hit for so much arrears, which is back child support, that and they 3 years I didn't get a tax return. And then I was paying child support even though I had shared custody because she didn't work. I had to pay child support.
Yep.
And my company there, so the court sent a letter, and I didn't catch this until my child support was almost over, which is ridiculous. But the letter that they sent to the company said, this is what he's paying for child support. This much of it is arrears. The first amount was a total. Okay. They were just saying the second amount was the arrears, not the child support. I guess whoever was in payroll at the time was just speed reading through it. They just took the two amounts and added them together.
And the front of the court didn't.
Nope, nobody caught it. In Nevada, they don't really pay that close of attention to that stuff. Like you don't get like a statement showing how much you paid for child support or anything like that. They just take the money. So I actually paid double arrears for 3 years. No tax returns. So I have 5 kids and a wife, and like half of my paychecks are disappearing every week. So it was a struggle for a time.
Did you ever get that money back?
So
Sure.
no, I didn't get the money back. What I did was pay it off in half of the time, which ended up being a positive. It's just that those 3 years was really hard. That's why when I came on your Toys for Tots and said that I appreciate programs like that, because during those 3 years, if there wasn't Toys for Tots, my kids wouldn't have gotten much for Christmas. If it wasn't for the food bank, we would have been hungry a few weeks. You know what I mean? Like here and there, like there were times that things were really tough. I remember over a Thanksgiving weekend, actually, the mine shut down for like 3 days. So you only get paid for the holiday, but not the other days where they shut down for the holiday. Yeah. And for child support, they can take up at half of your paycheck before taxes. When I got my paycheck the following week, I had a $17 paycheck and had paid $23 in taxes. So I actually paid more in taxes than I actually got on my paycheck. They were just tough times. They were tough times. So that's why I appreciate programs like Toys for Tots, like the food bank. Being able to go to the food bank and just get food for free when you're struggling are things that I think are necessary.
No, I'm with you 100%. And again, I appreciate you coming on, and I know you donated, and that's all I ask is a little bit of donation from everyone.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I could have donated more if I didn't buy as many toys for myself, but I'm doing better now. So
believe me, again, that I could talk about that all day, and all the stuff that again, that was all the stuff that I went through. To me, it was just like, again, if I can sit here for a day and a half and talk to people, to support something, to give back to kids that, like I said, these kids, they don't deserve it.
Right.
And it's not like all these kids, like all their parents are deadbeats. A lot of them, like you said, they're working hard, but there's something something went wrong in their life.
Even if their parents are deadbeats, that's not their fault.
Exactly.
No kid ever forced his parent to be a deadbeat. So,
No.
Yeah.
Some parents are just deadbeats.
That's it.
There's no doubt about that.
Just not good people. Yeah.
There are
but some people are embarrassed by that kind of stuff. And that's why I don't mind talking about it. I don't want to say being representative of it, but maybe if I'm comfortable coming forth and telling my stories that other people won't be ashamed, because you shouldn't be. Life is hard. Being an adult is difficult. And
I think what you're saying is really good, because I know there was a professional skateboarder that came out as being gay, and all the pros like that he rode with, they all knew. And there was one owner that was like, hey, you know what? You really should come out, because there are a bunch of gay skaters and gay people in general that they're scared to come out. You won Skater of the Year. You're a fucking burly ass motherfucker, like the way you skate and shit. And nobody knows this about you. And in the documentary where he talks about, and they even talked to Ed Templeton. He was the one who was trying to get him to come out. He goes, it wasn't for me to decide when he comes out, but I really thought it would have been, he could have done so much. But as he said, the skater was like, I wasn't ready. Like, that's not why I did this. But when he eventually decided to take that, it was like, now it's my choice, that if I can help some kids out, then awesome. It doesn't just have to be gay. It could be so many other things,
Oh yeah, anything.
But you're right. Like you said, it wouldn't be for me to be like, hey, tell your story. But you wanted to tell the story because you're like, hey, you know what? I feel secure enough with myself that if it helps one person, then awesome. Because that's really all that it's about. It's helping just a few people if possible.
Yeah, 100%.
Matthew says, I definitely don't know how to adult yet. Oh no, we're just winging it. There's
absolutely.
I'm fucking winging it. I can tell you that now. My son will tell you that I do not know how to adult. That's for sure. I don't know how to parent.
Right.
And how many kids do you have again?
Me?
What's that job of yours? No, my son.
Oh, I got you. Right.
Parent. I'm like, how many kids do you have again?
Right.
How long have you been working at your job? Oh, you don't have a job. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Good
and believe me, I'm never one of those people that says I do everything right. I make mistakes. And I said that about my dad. Like, my mom died. They were together, but he worked all the time. And I watched all the sacrifices he made. And my dad made mistakes, but he never made a mistake because he didn't love us. He made mistakes because he thought it's what was best for us. And maybe it was.
Right. And this is a popular joke of mine, but I quit drinking and I've been sober for 12 years now.
That's great.
And oh, life is so much better without alcohol. And for me, I know that might not be the case for everybody, but for me, my life has improved a lot. And I always say when I'm talking to people about it, I make enough bad decisions sober. I don't need any enhancement in that department, you know. So,
I tell my ex, like when we're trying to like help the kids,
mhm.
and I said, I go, you know, we're trying to help them not make. They're going to make mistakes, right? But
Mhm.
if we can help them, and I'm not saying I'm not like I'm like trying to convince her just in a conversation. I'm like, I'm you know, if we can help you to not make a mistake,
Yeah.
then that would be great because you're going to fuck up. We
You're going
all fuck up, but there's no reason why you should fuck up something when somebody can easily say, "Hey, let me explain something to you. Don't
Right.
do it like this because this is what's going to happen."
Yep.
I should have listened to my dad. I didn't.
We don't. I didn't. And my father is very wise, but you know, there's this thing like it can be very easy to learn from your mistakes.
Curtis Ackerman. This is
Right on.
Curtis's daughter, and he wants you to know that he is listening. He's just putting your bed together right now. I love it.
Right on. Um, you know, it's relatively easy to learn from your mistakes. You know, you touch something that's hot and it burns your hand, and you're like, "Ow, I'm not going to do that again." That's easy. But to watch somebody else burn their hand and say, "I don't want to do that," learning from other people's mistakes is a special skill that you usually don't develop in your teens. You know,
And sadly, the whole touching it like a hot stove, that is truly one of those things that like people do have to learn. And
Mhm.
I always go back to when someone does this, they're like, "Oh, that's awful. Try it."
Yeah,
No, you just told me it's awful.
yeah.
I don't
want to.
I don't need to try it. No, no, no.
Right.
Just try it. Dude, you just fucking told me it's awful. I watched
Yep.
your face.
I have all the information I
Yes.
need to know. You know.
I'm good with your opinion. All right. um, but yeah, and then the hot thing. Oh, God, I don't know what
Yeah.
to do that one.
But you know, I went through it like so much as a teenager. It was just like I was that guy. Like no matter how many people I saw burn their hand, like I just had to put my hand on there and find out for
Is
myself
it
and then
really?
be like, damn it, you know. So
You're like, is it really that hot?
right, right. Look at that wuss, you know, that
Is
kind
it
of
really
stuff.
that hot? I mean,
Yeah.
all right. So you meet a woman. You got 5 kids now. And how long did that last?
5 years.
Okay.
We ended up getting married, but we were together for 5 years. And then I'm not even sure exactly why we got divorced. The best thing that I can describe it is that men and women are different. And
Yes, they
things
are.
that things that make sense to a woman might not make sense to a man. And a man can drive himself crazy trying to understand something that is never going to make sense. And I took that divorce really hard, um, not well at all. And I became I mean, I drank here and there during my marriage, but not much. I became a pretty severe alcoholic during that time because I was really in love, and it was really hard to have someone that you really care about leave you. And I didn't handle it well. But then she decided to move to a different state, and she didn't want to fight over custody, so she moved away and left my 4-year-old son here with me, and I got full custody of him, which at least in Nevada, anyways, that doesn't really happen. Like men don't get full custody very often. So when that happened, I was like, I can't fuck this up. I don't curse often, but I got to say it just for the emphasis on this. Like it was such a rare thing. I was like, I can't fuck this up. And I quit drinking that day, and I haven't drank a drop since. So,
So so she moved out of state and left. Now, did she see your son?
so he would go up during the summers when he was out of school. That she was gone for almost 2 years, and then she did move back. But he's always stayed with me. But he went up during the first summer and stayed with her for 3 months. It wasn't like she didn't abandon him, but she wanted to move. And if we went to court, she had got to see like what my court battles were like and stuff. Like, she didn't want to fight over him. She just wanted to go. So she went, but I let him talk to her on the phone and everything, you know. Like,
Well, you should, but man, I don't even get that, because I mean, I went.
I'm sure there was some reasons or reasoning that I'm not aware of. I'm not one to judge. I probably wouldn't have made that decision myself, but you know, people live their lives, and I don't have any control over what she does. I only have control over how I handle it. So
now, you said that she had 2 kids. Are you still in their lives, or do you still talk to them? I mean, obviously
they're fully grown now. They're in their both of them are adults now, but no, I wasn't really. I mean, I was always there if they needed me for something, but like, we didn't like hang out or anything. That was their choice. I wasn't going to push anything.
Yeah,
I loved those kids to death, and anytime they needed something, I was happy to help. But they ended up living with their grandparents and had that whole thing going on, and their dad was in and out of jail, and it just, you know, life stuff. So I was here if they needed me. If they didn't need me for anything, I was cool letting them live their lives. So
no, and I only asked because like my oldest is not my daughter. I mean, I met Susan. Emily was 5, and she never met her dad. I raised her till she graduated, and then was when we split up. And she really took her mom's side, and fully can kind of understand that, even though. And I remember telling people, I said, you know what? I go, I raised her. I understand how she's acting, but if she ever comes around and, you know, wants to be part of my life, because obviously we have kids together, you know, her brother and sister. I go, I don't need an apology. I don't need, I'm sorry I screwed up. It doesn't matter. And after her mom and I started getting along again, and we're doing Christmases together, like, she started, you know, she's coming around, and, you know, after that, I don't know, maybe a year or so, year and a half, she started changing. Now she's moved to California, and, you know, I had this talk with her maybe like 6 months ago. I go, when you left, you know, and it hurt, but I also understand your age. And I was just kind of like, you know, you never had to say you're sorry or anything, because you were a kid and you were really thrown in a bad position. And, you know, and she's like, well, you're my dad. And I'm like, thank you. That means a lot to hear.
Absolutely.
You know? And like, I gave her my car. I had Carvana coming to pick up my old car on Friday, and Sunday I was supposed to go over and do something on her car. And Susan calls me and says, "You don't have to come over. She got in a car accident and totaled her car." And I was like, "Well, if she wants this car, they're coming to pick it up on Friday. I'll cancel it, but it does need some work." She called her dad. Her dad's like, "Hey, yep, I'll take the car and I'll get it all things fixed." And she drove that thing for years. She drove the thing for years. And a matter of fact, before she moved to California in the summer, she sold it to somebody. And I was like, she actually sold it for more than what Carvana was going to give it to me for.
Hey, right on, man.
And I gave it to her 265,000 miles on it. I think it had like 290 when she finally sold it.
Damn, right on, man. That's awesome.
All right, cool. You know, and then I'm like, because we were there like the day before, I'm like, the car's still there. I'm like, I miss you. You be good to them. And like, what's wrong with you? I'm like,
hell yeah.
But I always wonder when someone had other like stepchildren that came in, and just how. Well, I've had girls that are like, you know, that's not even your kid, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. Just seriously, fuck. You don't raise someone from the time they're fucking 5 years old. You're there the first day of kindergarten. You're there the last day of high school. don't tell me that they're not my fucking kid.
Yeah, being a parent isn't about biology.
Yes.
It's about investment.
Yeah, it's Chris says mine are moving out, Joe's are moving in.
I recently added 4 kids.
Oh my god.
So yeah. But I spent 3 years trying to get them out of foster care. And that was why I was only on Oz's show every other week, because I was doing a drive to Southern California every other weekend. And after 3 years of very hard work, we were successful and added 4 children. And I like kids, so it's not a big deal.
All right, so you have a second kid, you get divorced, you go through something awful, but then she moves. Now, are you collecting anything at this time? Or are you still?
So my second wife was a lot cooler, and this was the beginning of the Mythic Legions. Like, so my second wife was cool with me doing the role playing and stuff like that, and I started collecting Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, which I have a massive collection of those. But we would go. I had to travel to a neighboring town to go to a hobby store because there's nothing here local. But we would go up there, and at the time they sold miniatures in it was like a baseball card pack. You didn't know what you were going to get, so I bought massive amounts of them, trying to complete these sets and stuff like that. I think this is where my modern collecting really started to springboard. But I would pick up Toy Fair magazine, which back in the day was an awesome toy focused magazine that was just fantastic.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And I saw these cool toys in there called Seventh Kingdom, which was one of the first lines that the Four Horsemen did themselves. The first one that I told the owner of the hobby shop, I was like, I really like these. At the time, it was like all these I know, right?
I think it's a different type of role playing.
And there was like a wave of elephants. There was all these awesome elephants that were like not rainbow colored, but different colored elephants and stuff. Yeah, I'm not one. Mama didn't raise no quitter. I'll keep trying until I get it right.
Well, Jan, bro, that one won't get deleted.
There you go.
Here, I just want to address this. You do know the number one reason for divorce
is marriage.
It's marriage.
Yeah. For sure.
People look at me like that's such a dad joke. I'm like, but it's true.
Right. It is 100%. You can't be divorced if you're not married. So, yep.
Oh man, you can't.
Right. But I told the owner that I liked. I was like, check these out. These are cool. And he's like, I have some coming. And I actually have one right here. Let me grab it. This was the first like Four Horsemen as their own toy company.
Hold on,
This beast is called Ramathor.
Wow.
And yeah, so I bought this big bugger, and
now, is that articulated?
Yeah, it's an action figure.
Okay, I can't see into the joints. That's
that's okay. It is now. It's their their first line, and a lot of these have broke. It's cold right now, so I'm not gonna like.
No.
Yeah,
Don't worry
right. But just looking at it, if it was a statue, I would have thought that this was amazing.
That's what I was asking. I mean, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that's when I fell in love with Four Horsemen. But I only bought a couple because they were kind of expensive, and I had 5 kids, so I wasn't spending too much money. But then when I went through my second divorce, I was like, I really liked all of those. I'm going to go back and I'm going to collect them all. And that's what happened. So I got all the Seventh Kingdom, and then I saw that they had done a line called Gothotropolis, which was all like Birdman characters. And I
Yeah,
was like,
you were talking about that.
Yeah.
On Oz's, I think.
yep. And the villain was called Scarabus, and it was all these like, it's the same character, but like a bunch of different looks. And then he had an alternate head that would make him look like a different character, but they were all Egyptian themed. Just really super. So I saw that stuff, and they were super cheap at the time, which they're incredibly expensive now. But I was getting those birds for like $15 to $25, which
Oh,
was
wow.
crazy. So I got that full collection. And then one day, after all these years of playing D&D, I'm doing and this thing called Mythic Legions popped up. It was the first wave of Mythic Legions. I saw it on eBay. It was a gold knight, just like a full suit of armor that was painted all gold. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And I did a search for Mythic Legions, and bam. It was like all the D&D action figures that I could have ever wanted. You know what I mean? It was like there was orcs and all this cool stuff, and that was it. I just instantly fell in love because of my love of Dungeons and Dragons. I was like instantly sold on Mythic Legions.
So you always like that type of stuff, because obviously I see Castle Grayskull on the back. I see a skull.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you like, you're more like that attracts you more than military based stuff.
Yes. So I guess that the best way to explain it is I loved G.I. Joe when I was a kid. And I would watch military movies and stuff, and they were very heroic. But as I got into my early teens, I really had a problem with authority. And I've grown out of that. Well, for the most part, I've grown out of that. But, I think that dislike for authority figures, what has more authority figures in it than the military, you know what I mean? And that's probably why I didn't get back into G.I. Joe, even though I did really love it as a kid.
All right, hold on one second.
Sure.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Curtis Ackerman with another $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. LOL, my daughter just said Joe looks like a distant cousin of the Mario brothers named Sad
Giuseppe. That is awesome, except for the sad part. I don't know why anyone would say, do I look sad? I don't think so. I'm not sad. I'm actually really happy.
I will say this, like talking to you here. And again, I thought, I've talked to you before and we've chatted back and forth. You're way different here than anytime I've seen you on the Clubhouse. Like you're really quiet, and you kind of only, like, if only they're talking about, I would say mostly Mythic Legions or anything for Horsemen. Like you don't really say too much, but like the course of what I heard you talking, that's why I was like I said, I want to have anyone that's helped support me on the show. Of course, I want to have. I already know there's certain people that I've seen you talk. Like it's gonna be like pulling teeth, all right.
Yeah.
If I have to do all the talking, that's called fucking Monday Night Toy Ramblings. All right.
Right.
So, and if you're boring, then I'm gonna feel bad. Like if I shut down, hey, well, we're a half hour in and we're all done. Like you'd be like, wow, I must have really sucked, because this guy goes like 3 hours for every fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm talking more for this is because the format of the show is guest focused.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be a bad guest on the show. So, of course I'm going to talk more.
No, but you know that there are people that they will try and talk, and then you're like, you should shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
You shouldn't talk. All right. A lot of people probably say the same thing about me. They're like, I cannot believe that this guy rambles on for 3+ hours on a Monday. He shouldn't say anything.
Right.
Like, believe it or not, people are waiting to hear it. I don't get it. But
yeah, absolutely. Because it's entertaining. It's entertaining and it's fun. A long time ago, I was told, if you're going to speak, make sure what you're saying is an improvement over the silence. That's why when like I'm on Oz's show, am I contributing something that is worth hearing?
Yeah, like Look at that logo right there. Look at that. Dreadnought Ryan.
Yeah, right on, man. Right
I made him change the logo because I didn't like his one shirt had like a square box, and I was like, I don't like it. So I made my daughter. I had him send me the file, so my daughter could erase it, so he could make one. I never told him. I never told him that was the reason, but I'm like, I ain't buying that fucking square fucking box.
Right. Well, now he knows.
I made Olivia. I thought she could do it in like a couple minutes. It took her like all night to do it because she's like,
oh wow.
I thought it was gonna be a lot easier. And she's like, no, I had to like erase. I'm like, well, thank you very much. Oh, child labor laws don't count with kids.
No, not at all. Not if they're your kids. Yeah, that's only for other people's kids.
If they were your kids, then they might count, but
right,
they don't count. So we were talking about. Oh yeah, you were saying how like.
Just why I'm quiet is because I want to be, like I said, if I'm going to speak, it should be an improvement over my silence. A lot of times they're talking about things that I don't know very much about. Like I collected Motu classics. I call that my definitive He-Man line. Like to me, that was the He-Man figures that I always wanted. Not that there's anything wrong with the ones that they're producing now, but I'm not a nostalgia collector. I'm not going to buy something just because I liked it when I was a kid. The toys have to speak to me. Like, they have to be good toys. And I'm not saying that they're bad, but
no, that's what you're saying.
I don't like flesh colored plastic, for example. Maybe I've just gotten spoiled over all the years of Mythic Legions, but when there's just this monotone tan plastic for the character's skin and they're like shirtless, it's just not, and I don't want to be a bargain shopper either. Like, I'm not going to be that guy that's like, oh, I'm going to wait and see if I can get it at Ross, get a discount. Not that there's anything wrong with that. A lot of people bring a lot of, and Mondo is great. There's people that have a lot of joy in bargain hunting. I'm from a small town in Nevada. Like, there's nowhere for me to bargain shop. I just want to buy what I like, and
I don't like the people that say, oh, that Storm Shadow, it's really awesome. I'm going to wait till it goes on clearance. Well, do you really like it? Because if you really like it, then you pick it up. Now, if someone says that is an awesome looking Storm Shadow, I'm not really into it. But if I find it for $10, I'll pick it up. That I understand. But when you say, like, I love something, I'm going to wait to get it on clearance, you go, and that's when I go, I fucking hope to God that it fucking sells out and it never shows up.
Well, it's I love something, but not enough to support it, enough to not go out of business. It's like if they stopped making that line of figures and people were like, what the hell? Why did they stop? And it's like, because you didn't buy it. Yeah. Like, if they're making money, they're going to keep making them,
But like, okay, so here's, Cobra Trooper, right? Let's say you see this and you're like, that is a really cool figure. I don't really collect G.I. Joe, but if I find that thing for $10, I'll pick it up. Like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's just this whole like, oh, I love this stuff, but I won't pick it up till I find, like, all right, well, if you don't really love it, then that's cool. Like, say, hey, there's a lot of stuff that I'm like, hey, if I see that on sale or on clearance, I'll pick it up.
Right.
And I'm not going to pay full price because I'm not all into it. But like, I don't wait for any G.I. Joe to go on clearance. I order it because I see this with it.
This is the thing about supporting the stuff, and me being such a massive Four Horsemen fan, I can use this as an example. I think, right? It's Four Horsemen are an independent toy company. They're actually really small. Diego said that they have 15 full-time employees. That's a small company.
Yep.
We are getting a dragon from them, a massive 4-foot long dragon, because people bought the toys. Yeah. They're not taking investors' money and spending it to make a dragon. They're making a dragon for us because the fans of the toy company and the toy line have spent enough money that they can feel secure in making this giant. Now really think about that. If people had waited, I mean, I know Mythic Legions aren't going to Ross, but just the mindset of that, like, if you're not buying the toys, you're not getting new stuff. They're not improving. Like, the companies have to make money. They're a business, and if you want bigger and better things, support them as much as you can.
And again, if it's something you don't collect, but you're like, I think that looks really cool, but I don't have to have it. But if I see it, that I understand that mindset, because I do that a lot.
For sure.
But if I see something, if there's something Marvel Legends that comes out, and I'm not a huge Marvel Legends guy, but I pick up some stuff. Like, I wanted the Marvel Legends cable. I don't know where he's over there somewhere.
Right.
Boom! It came out. I went to Sergeant Red's. I'm like, dude, do you have one? And he's like, his wife was like, no, it doesn't show. And all of a sudden, he's like, comes out with a box from downstairs. I told you, the guy. And I'm like, awesome, and like, I wanted that. I didn't wait till I went somewhere else. I actually paid a couple dollars extra because they're independent toy stores, so they have to charge a little more. But it's like something that I absolutely want. And another prime example, and maybe this might actually turn, is that I had ordered the first 2 Transformers G.I. Joe crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
They kept going on clearance. So when the Thunder Machine came out, I said, you know what? I'm not going to buy it. It's going to go on clearance or on sale. Right. Well, it never did. It's finally, I guess, showing up at Ross for like $25. I have like one brand new Ross, and of course, it's never been there when I've gone there. Right. If I get it, then I'll be like, but that one kept going. I'm like, this thing is never gone. Amazon had the other ones constantly blown out, but not this one. Damn. Right. So but I didn't have to have it. Yeah. Because everything that came with it, I have my original one. So I was like, I don't have to have this. I have my original Thunder Machine from a kid. I have both my original Zartan and Zarana that come with it. The only thing that it came with was a sound wave that transformed into, which is the ideal of what I wanted, but I'm not a Transformers guy. I just like the crossovers that I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. Todd C says, Ross is a drug pain in the ass to find stuff, but when you find something, well, I'll let you know if I ever find anything.
This is the thing, though. If you really think about it, like those people that are hitting Ross every day trying to find a bargain, if you would save that money in gas and just buy what you wanted, you'd probably save money in the long run.
Well, it's kind of like the people that realize if I just order from BBTS and I pay a little extra, I'm saving money by not. But I've known collectors and they're like, the chase is what I love. Yeah. Right. And that is something very true. Like, I enjoy going to Target. What I don't enjoy is that I know, like, when I know that there's nothing new, but I'm still looking for something. And just the fact that you walk all the way back there, and if, again, if you know what Targets are, the toys are almost always at the back, same with Walmart. And it's just like, it gets aggravating because there's nothing, but you're just hoping. Like, you're not even seeing new stuff that, like, you don't collect. It's always like, oh, wow, same fucking Motu stuff. Same Necklace stuff. It's always like, if you were seeing new stuff, you'd be at least like, because I still look at other stuff that I don't collect. I just like to look at toys. Even when I wasn't collecting, I would always say, whenever you go to a store, the first place you go is the toys, because the bananas are going to be there. But that toy might not be, right? Like,
hey, even now at 47 years old, because we shop at Walmart a lot, the Walmart in the neighboring town, and when we get there, the toy department is right next to the restroom. Whenever we get there, I tell my girl, like, hey, I got to go to the restroom. And then I just happen to wander through the toys after that, every single time.
It's a must, right? It is. It truly is a must. Again, there's something special. When you're a collector, you're a collector.
That's it. Absolutely.
So let's talk about like where you kind of led to, because you meet this new girl. Now, does she have kids?
Yeah, she has 4.
Okay, so she has 4 kids. You have 3 kids.
By the time we met, 2 of my kids were adults. Now my middle son still lives with me, but he's 23, so And I guess he was 18 when we met. So right around there. And I met her on Christmas Day too, which is kind of weird. Like, not weird, but I don't know. That was a hell of a Christmas present. Santa really came through that year for me.
So how did you meet her on Christmas? I mean, what were you doing on Christmas?
I was playing D&D on Christmas, actually, because I was single and I do what I want because I'm a grown man. And
yeah, but how do you find other people to play D&D with you?
Yeah, because I have friends that are like me, you know. And we were playing D&D, and it was a mutual friend. So,
okay,
a girl that I knew is best friends with my girlfriend's sister, and she's just like, she calls me and she's like, "Hey, you know, my friend's sister is down visiting. You should come over and meet her." And I was like, "Nah, I'm busy. I'm doing something. Thanks, anyways." And she's like, "No, really, like, you need to come over. Like, she's really pretty and has a great personality." And I don't, it's probably a joke I shouldn't make, but you know those code words.
Oh, I know that. Believe me, I'm
really pretty and great personality. I'm like,
she's really pretty and has a great personality. Oh, so
yeah. And I'm like, no, you know. And then she just wouldn't let it go. She just kept harping on me about it. And I was like, fine, I'll come over, but just for a few minutes. And I went over there and was just blown away. Like she was so much better than what I thought. We got it.
We
right?
got it. Don't worry.
But it wasn't that, you know, it was actually right on. It was actually you know, she was very attractive. And I don't know. We just sat down and talked and ended up going along. And I was like, "Hey, do you want to go out and like eat sometime?" And she was pretty new to Nevada. She had moved here from Southern California, and it's a really different environment. So I was like, "Hey, I know a lot of stuff around the area." And we went out on a date the next day, and just, that was it. Like, the 5 days that I was at Legion's Con was the most time that we've spent apart since we've been together.
Now, how long has that been?
Almost 5 years. This Christmas will be 5 years.
Okay. Well, at least you have Christmas. I think that's awesome that you have. Like,
Christmas
the anniversary of when you met. Like,
yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So,
and you can't not get a gift. I mean, it's that simple. Like,
yeah, and I won't forget because it's a major holiday. So,
and you get it off, so it makes it even that much better.
Right.
Now, is she a collector of anything, or
no? Oh no, not at all. We actually couldn't be more opposite in our personalities. She's not a collector. She doesn't like really science fiction or fantasy things. What makes our relationship so successful is that we can do things together and be totally fine. Like we can travel. Like, we made those long trips to California and everything, which was a 16-hour drive round trip. And that's totally cool. And we can get home and I can get on the computer to do this stuff, and she can go in the bedroom and watch TV, and she's totally fine with that. Like, she can sit in there and watch her own TV programs alone, and it doesn't make her mad that I'm not watching something that I don't enjoy with her. Hey, Thanos. And
you met a unicorn?
It's pretty unique. Also, she has a really short-term memory problem, so I can say a lot of really stupid jokes, and she totally forgets right away and doesn't hold it against me. So,
oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like we're just like super compatible, even though we're like super different. So,
but
only thing,
same way.
she likes to give me a hard time though, because I do a lot of pre-orders through Four Horsemen, you know, and even though it's stuff that I've ordered like 2 years ago, UPS will deliver this giant box of toys, and she'll just walk by and look at it and be like, "You know, that's why you're broke all the time." And I'm just like, yeah, you know.
But I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's okay to make fun of something someone does, when they know that it's a joke. So
Yeah.
if you're dating someone and she's okay, like she's making little jokes at you or jabs at you for what you're
Teasing
posting,
me. Yeah.
but yeah, it's teasing. You know
Mhm.
she's not serious.
Yeah.
It's
She never
not-
says you shouldn't buy that. You shouldn't have that.
It
you
sounds
know?
like it's not a. You know that's why we're broke, right? And then
Right.
walks away.
Right.
So that's, and again, it's like, yeah, we know. Believe me,
Yeah. No. I know. I
we're
know.
not financially smart here, all right?
You're right. Yeah. For sure. Oh.
Pretzel says, like Paul Abdul saying, sometimes opposites attract.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Like we don't have much in common, but we enjoy each other's company, So it's not like it's never a punishment to spend time with her.
Yeah,
But I love the fact just about every relationship that I've been in, if I wanted to do something without them, it was like they took it personal,
Yes.
like, like you want to do something without me. What don't you like about me? And it's like, no, it has nothing to do with you. I want to do this other thing, like, and my current girl is not like that at all. Like
I would tell my ex, I'd go, hey, I'm going out with Brandon this Friday, whatever.
Mhm.
And she'd instantly go, well, then I'm going out with Becky next week. Okay, I don't care. Go out with Becky on Saturday. I don't
right.
go out there tomorrow. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's not a competition. Like I don't.
Right.
Like if she told me like, hey, I'm going out with Becky, I wouldn't be like, well, then I'm going out next week. Like,
Yeah. Right.
like have fun. Like,
Yeah.
and I tell people like, I really do think in relationships, you have to do things separately.
Mhm.
If you do everything together, you drive each other mad.
Yep.
Even though you don't
Absolutely. Oh man, you do. Even like if you took your best friend, like I would never roommate with any of my friends. I've had the same. I'm kind of an antisocial person. I've had the same real life friends since like high school. I couldn't be roommates with them. I love those guys, but if I had to be around them like all the time, we would drive each other crazy.
It seems like a good idea when you're 18.
Right.
I remember when my ex left, at the same time, the guy that was my best friend for many years at that time, he was going through divorce. And she's like, well, you two could just go get an apartment together. And I was like, no, I'm an adult. I don't want to live with anyone else unless it was a female that I have relations with.
Right.
I don't want to have to live, especially when you have kids too. It's like I make enough money that I can afford the place that I own.
Right.
I need to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
But again, that's how a lot of women are, because they do seem to be more clingy. No offense, I'm not trying to offend any woman.
No. I'm not, but different guys need different things too. I'm the kind of guy that, like, my job is pretty stressful. My life is pretty stressful overall. Not a negative, and that's true for so many people.
Yeah.
I'm not special in that sense. I need some time of peace. I need to sit down and play with my toys for a few hours every few days or whatever, or be on a show like this, just to kind of forget all the stress for a little bit and have some peace. And some people aren't like that, but it's something that I need. Now I'm with somebody who very much appreciates having a few hours of peace herself, that we complement each other that way.
And as long as, like, again, even if she doesn't need it, if they understand that you need it, that's another thing that I think in relationships, and this is not about women, this is about both men and women. A lot of times they don't realize, like, hey, the other one might need something else. And I'm not talking about sexual. Well, sometimes there is that. Women.
Yeah, that compromise. Compromise is very important. Yeah.
There are other orifices that we might like.
No comment.
Like in the backseat of a Volkswagen.
Right.
Curtis says that you need your Curtis time.
That's I really look forward to doing Off-World every Friday. It's a nice break to just, get on there and hang out with some cool dudes and talk about cool stuff. And it's just fun. And I very much enjoy it. So absolutely, I need my Curtis time.
Yeah, so Tripwire says, and this is something I want to address. He says,
Mm.
"I'm selfish. I'm selfish, which is why I like being single. I do what I want, when I want, eat what I want, when I want, and spend my money on what I want, when I want." So I've been single for almost 9 years. I mean, I've dated people, whatever, and I really got back into skateboarding. I mean, I was skating 5 days a week. I can't now. My knees are just like, no, you're not doing that. But I was like, I don't even want to try and date anyone because I just want to skateboard. And it wouldn't be fair if you're trying to get in a relationship and I don't expect the girl to ever be like, you need to stop skateboarding or you need to stop collecting toys. But at the same time, or stop doing YouTube. But at the same time, if every time she wants to do something, I'm going like, well, I'm going to ride my skateboard. They have a right to start getting mad and be like, wait a minute, when do we get some time?
Yeah.
And I'm like totally with like Tripwire. Like I enjoy my own time. It's been so long. I don't even know if I could be like in a relationship with someone. I don't know how that would actually work. I don't want to go through the whole dating process.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't mind dating or meet, like if I'm with someone, I don't want to go somewhere and then 5 minutes, you never want to see this person again, but you're going to spend $75 on dinner.
Yeah.
That's Joe figures.
You're right.
All right.
See, that's the thing with me. Like I never, now as an adult, now this was not true of me younger, but now as a 47-year-old man and in this time frame, I don't hide who I am. When I brought my girl to my house for the first time, it's like, hey, this is my toy collection. This is who I am.
Yes.
And I'm not changing that. And if she was like, that's not for me, I'm out, I would have totally understood. I wouldn't have even been mad, But if you're going to be with me, you're going to be looking at castles and stake mountains and, and me spending way too much money on action figures and all those kind of things. That's me. That's who I am. And if you're okay with that, great. Now, I was single for 8 years and just like Tripwire said, I did what I want when I want. All of those things, exactly what he was saying. And I should have been happy, but I wasn't.
Well, that's the thing. If you're not happy, then
that's the type of person that I am. Like I crave relationships. Now I crave good relationships, but those are a little harder to succeed with, but then I found the right person for me and now I get both. I get to do the hobbies that I love and have a relationship at the same time. So I kind of hit the jackpot there.
No, and that's just it. And like you said, like if I meet someone like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm going to be doing this on Mondays and Thursdays. You have to accept that. I'm not saying like if there wasn't something important that you needed on a Monday or a Thursday that I would reschedule this, but this is what I do. I ride my skateboard. I collect toys. Just like if I walk in and she's like, hey, I collect books and I love this, like, awesome.
I do my book club twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I hope it's on Mondays and Thursdays.
Right. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Could you change it at least for me?
Right. It's easier for you to change.
You clearly don't know. You don't know how popular I am on Mondays.
6,000 subscribers. Thank you.
Almost. Less than 200 away. So.
Right on, man. Well, hopefully tonight I bumped the numbers up a little bit.
You did. Honestly, you did.
Right on, man.
By about 6 at least.
Cool.
Well, I mean, again, and like they all came in, and I love it. Of course, it's great to have people come in, like you have someone on, and like other people come in. But the fact that so many people came in and they're jabbing with you, and they're like, that shows that like, hey, they enjoy it because they're probably like, dude, who is this guy who's glitching all over the place? He sounds like a
Right.
moron.
So can I run with that a little bit?
Go ahead.
Because I start collecting Mythic Legions, and this is important. I think, to me anyways. I start collecting Mythic Legions. I've been collecting Mythic Legions for a few years. And at the time I was doing, I do like a YouTube search for Mythic Legions reviews. And the only channel that would come up of anybody doing Mythic Legions reviews was the Adam Power channel. And this guy named Israel Ramirez, who I ended up finding out years later is the lawyer for Four Horsemen. He has a figure named after him in the Gothotropolis line and everything. But he was doing these like unedited. He just sits down with his toy and does this like review. So, but it was the only ones that you were seeing at the time. So I was watching him. And then he mentioned Mythic Conversations with Jeremy Gerard, who now Jeremy Gerard is the Four Horsemen's director of sales and marketing, and is their an important part of the company. But at the time, he was just a fan that was doing a show. So I started watching his show, and he talked about the Mythic Legions Cabal being the official fan Facebook group for Mythic Legions. I've never been a huge Facebook guy. The only reason I have Facebook is because I needed something to do after my divorces. Because when you have a wife and a bunch of kids, everything's pretty exciting. And then all of a sudden you're by yourself and you're really bored. So that's the only reason I even got a Facebook. But I was like, I'll check it out. It is the most positive, amazing community of just great people. Because if people come in and they're shitty and they're negative, they kind of get pushed out because that's not what the community is trying to be about. And that's the guys. Like, I just got to meet them this last weekend at Legions Con, but it's such an amazing, positive place. And that's what I look for in toy collecting, because and that's very true for some people. Absolutely.
No, I mean, I'm not lying when I say that. Like, I don't even know when. I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to.
No. Go ahead.
Like,
Go ahead.
Seriously, I'm just like, I don't even know how I would, because I still have such a good relationship with my ex, and I have my kids here, and it's like I'm happy. Like, I'm happy with who I am.
That's the most important thing, right? About life.
So someone that came in, not only would they have to fit in with my life, I would have to fit in with their life too.
Yeah. It can be a lot of work. Absolutely. And
I mean, my skateboard has hurt me, but it's never hurt me like a woman.
Right. Yeah. Andrew CK, right? The comedian. He says a man will hurt you, a man will cause you pain. Like, he'll rip off your arm, but a woman will rip out your heart and shit in the hole. Yeah.
No, it's true. So you were looking for.
Well, it's just so I'm not being disparaging towards any other community, but for me, I collect toys for fun. Something that I enjoy. I want it to be an enjoyable experience, because I collect toys to escape from the things that aren't so pleasant in my life. And that's what I like about the Mythic Legions Cabal and this community, is it's just Louis CK. Okay. Pretzel John corrected me. Yeah. I couldn't remember his name right. I have a pretty bad memory myself, but yes, that's the guy. I got Andrew WK and Louis CK kind of combined into one. Like,
you got some initials, right?
Yeah, something like that. And I want it to be a positive experience. I don't like drama, and I don't like people. I'm a middle-aged man collecting toys. Like, what do I have to be mad about? You know what I mean? Like,
I have that much spare income that I can buy toys.
Yeah.
which I say all the time. It's a luxury. It's
Right.
not a necessity. I cannot eat this fucking plastic. I'm not saying I can't eat. Technically, you could, but I can't get nutrients from it.
It is not intended to be a consumable. Yes.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. You know, so then getting into the community and the cherry on the topping on that wonderful cake was this last weekend's Legion's Con, when there were so many people that I was friends with online, friends with in this environment. You don't think that you're going to be friends the same way in person, and I couldn't have been more wrong. Like, I'm not a hugger because of the environment I came in. Like, my family is an immigrant family. Once you're about 6-7 years old, like the hugging stopped. It's not that they don't love you, because they'll freaking die for you, but you just don't show affection that way, right? So I was a little uncomfortable. I was like, they're always talking about hugging. It's not that I have anything against hugging, but
I'm with you. I don't.
But I must have given out 200 hugs in this freaking, not given out, but had people hug me like 200 times, you know, during this convention. And it was awesome, because it was that showing of love and respect for me was just incredible. And I feel like I'm nobody in the community, you know what I mean? Like, nobody special. And yeah, I think that is not the case. I think that a lot of people think that I'm a special person. And I had people ask, like, hey, would it be okay if I took a picture with you? It's like, who do you think I am? Like, take my picture.
Isn't it?
Like, you don't have to ask. Like,
Dude, Joe Fest, 3 fucking days. Like, and people like, I don't want to bother you because you were talking. What? Fucking come on! Like, if you want to say hi to me, because there is something, and I listened to radio guys, and they were talking about it one day, and they were saying, you know, we don't know anyone. Some people call in, but everyone feels like they know us, right? Because we talk all the time, and they get to know who we are. And it's the same way with YouTube, right? They see me all the time. I probably say way more about my family than I should, or myself, right? You guys know my kids' names. If you don't, just watch a little bit. You'll hear me say them throughout it, right? Especially my daughter. But they get to know us, and they really do see you as a celebrity. And again, I'm not a celebrity. I'll say this. I'll say this the day I die. I am no more special than you, and you're no more special than me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not an autograph seeker. I've never been an autograph seeker. If you are, great. You don't enjoy it. But to me, I don't want someone else's autograph. Now, Darren, 3-star draw, he wanted autographs, or he wanted the signature of all the people that he's got to know that was going to be at Joe Fest. I thought that was actually pretty cool, because you're not like, you sign, you know.
Right.
But people like that stuff. But I'm with you. Like, I had people coming up to me saying the same thing, and they just wanted to take a picture, and then next thing I know, it's posted on Facebook or on Instagram, and I'm tagged in it. And it is very humbling, because you're like, it's like, I don't do anything special. I'm just willing to put myself out here and talk toys, right?
Yeah.
And
I must have
do it.
Right. I must have said the word surreal like 100 times during the show. Like, this is so surreal.
So Clint asks who I'm going to have for Thanksgiving. I'm having True Mr. 6. I think I said that right. He's from across the pond, so we're going to record it before. Really good guy. If you've been watching G.I. Joe, he's getting a lot of stuff early too. So,
Right on.
And let's quickly say hi to J Solo Arts, who has jumped in here. What nationality does not hug? I need to know.
Azorian Portuguese, I guess, because that's what I am.
Yeah, so 3-star says
we do hug. It's just when you get to 6 years old, it stops. Grow up, damn it.
Hey, I can't listen. I talked about this. I can't remember the last time my dad told me he loves me, or I told him. But I don't need it, because I know he does. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Some people need to hear it.
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
boy.
do my best because I want my kids to hear it, even though my son hasn't said it back to me in years. My daughter, before we hang up the phone, she always will say, "I love you." Before she leaves, I say it to her. Um, but her mom says it to her. Her mom says it, to Andrew. I say it to Andrew. He, just ignores it. But I want him to hear it from me. My dad hasn't said it to me for years, and I haven't said it to my dad. But we have a relationship. I don't need it. I don't need to hear him say it to know it. So like when he eventually passes away, and hopefully it's still many, many years from now, I won't be sitting back going, he never said that, because I don't like to feel it is way better than just to hear the words, because they're just words.
Just show it through actions. Yes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Latin saying is opera non verba, deeds not words.
Are you even a YouTube channel if you haven't had Curtis Ackerman?
That freaking guy is everywhere, man. I don't even have enough free time to be on as many shows as Curtis Ackerman is on.
Well, according to Curtis, he didn't even know I had a YouTube channel, let alone a very successful one.
Right.
Extremely
Which
successful.
Curtis did collect G.I. Joes, so he should have. Do your research, buddy. Yeah.
Okay, so funny story. I was on a toy kind of mood. It was a while back. It was me and 3 other people. I forget. So I'm at Sergeant Red's, which is my local toy store.
Mhm.
And I've been to places now that people have recognized me. And I could tell this guy was looking at me because he recognized me from being on YouTube.
Right.
Now, a toy kind of mood, he's in California. The guys on it, they're from all over the place. So this guy's kind of looking at me. And I could, and again, it's not like a creepy way. I knew exactly why he was looking at me. So finally, I'm like away from John, and he's like, "Hey," he goes, "Are you a punk with toys?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I thought so." He goes, "I heard you say that you live in Michigan, but I didn't know where." And we just kind of started chatting a little, and then I said, he goes, "Yeah, I didn't know where." And he goes, "Yeah, I saw you on a toy kind of mood." And I go, I go, "You don't watch my channel?" And he goes, "Oh, you have a channel?" And I'm like, what are the odds that the local YouTuber that talks G.I. Joe right by you, like you saw him on another show and you didn't even realize it, and then you run into him at and it's not like I do like a show like once a month. Like I'm on YouTube pretty frequently.
Right.
Like it consumes a lot of my time. All right. But it was that was weird because I'm like, you're not I can't be offended by it, but it's like it's odd that that's how you knew me and you remembered me, but didn't even you weren't even like, oh, probably his own channel or anything.
Yeah. And for me, it actually was the exact opposite. If the regional wrestlers from the 60s and 70s, I don't have them just move around where I'm needed. Yeah. Absolutely. For me, it was the opposite because not many people watch Offworld, I thought, I mean, I've been on like Trevor Williams' channel and stuff, the 1/6 shooter Legion's Lounge, and I was on Door Clear once. I've been on a few different shows, but I didn't really expect people to know me, and it was the exact opposite where my expectations were to not be known, and it was very much the opposite of that. So
no, I get that. Hold on one second.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Heavy Metal Toy Box, $2 super chat. Been out of the loop for a bit. Great to be back. I mean, you were yelling at me, so I had to yell it. No, you know what? It's great to have you. And I was actually thinking about you not too long ago because I know you popped in on a Punk's Pit. And I know you do other stuff on YouTube that's not toy related because thank God, because good Lord, man, they consume so much of our time. So great to have you back. No, everything that you said about Legion's Con, and I had a feeling that's how the guys that went there were going to feel the same way we did about Joe Fest.
right.
And and everyone's. I think like what you said. I think everyone got sick and tired of hearing about it. I think they just got sick
It's
and tired.
hard to stop, though. It's
Yeah.
hard to stop. It's such an enjoyable thing. Let me tell you this. So there's a company called Wolf King Customs. They make custom like 3D printed heads and accessories, shoulders, and all these different parts that you add to your Mythic Legions, to customize them. I've spent a small fortune buying from them. I freaking love their stuff. The owner, his name is Lynn LaGuardia. Amazing guy. Curtis actually works with the company, and stuff. And they have a subline inside their custom parts called God's Fire. Stephen Bishotti from the My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast and a very, very talented customizer and sculptor named Emma Wickman make these. They have stories to go along with the 3D parts where they actually have backstories and everything. And it's called God's Fire. I've been a big fan of God's Fire for a long time. And myself and a guy named Kent Matzinger. The first day of the con, because I got there on Thursday. Thursday it was like the hangout day, and then Friday's G-Con where they do the reveals. But Legion's Con doesn't actually start till Saturday. I walk into the main room on Saturday, and Curtis goes, "Come with me right now." And I was like, okay. I thought he needed help, like carrying something or something like that. And I follow him, and he walks down. God's Fire never dies. Hell yeah. He walks down to the God's Fire, and they have this big like stand-up display. And he walks around the corner, and I follow him around the corner, and he just makes this big like gesture, like this. And they named some parts after myself and Kent Maxinger. And they have these 3D printed parts to make a character called Gonsalves.
The penis?
And and I was just like,
the penis of yours?
what's that?
They do the penis of yours?
Gonsalves? Did my mic cut out a little bit?
No, you said some parts. So was it the penis part?
I hope not. Because I don't know if you'd get enough 3D print to make it worth your money, but yeah. So, but there's this big, huge display, and my name is on part of it, and I was just like mind blown, And then Emil and Steven are like, "Hey, we're writing you into the lore. Your characters, it's like a prequel. They're going to be like the main hero and the main villain that develop into the modern line." And it was just like, again, so surreal. Like, I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, I'm nobody. And now I have, Curtis says well-deserved. I don't know what I've done to deserve it, but it's definitely appreciated, but it was just so awesome. Just awesome people doing something special for me, whether I deserved it or not. It's a huge honor, and it was just incredible.
There is something about being humble about anything like this. And I really do mean that. And I know a lot of people have said the same thing. I've had many talks with like Krusty O'Crow that says that about me. I'm like, I don't really see what people like. I don't see what people see about me. And they're like, dude, you're just one of us.
Right.
And the one thing that I have learned throughout this is like, you have to acknowledge the people that are in here supporting you, right?
Mm-hmm.
By going into their chats, chats. You don't have to sit there the whole time, but you have. And there's a lot of other people that don't. And I, like this whole show, like when you go look at other people, and it's great that they do this, but like they want to get like the toy makers. They want to get the Four Horsemen guys on. They want to get Bobby Vala on. They want, like Skeletron. Like, and I'm like, I want to talk to the people that are supporting me, whether it be on Facebook, Instagram,
right,
YouTube, obviously, and give them some recognition, because you guys are the ones. Like, how many times can I say it? Like, my channel is nothing without every single one of you.
Right.
And again, there's something very honest about everything that you said. Like, you're just like, I'm really honored that, but I don't know why. Like, I don't like, what makes you say, "Hey, I'm gonna name something after you," and you're just like, I just collect these toys and I go and see
Right.
shows, but like you can tell you're totally honored by it.
Dude, it was amazing. Just mind blowing. Like I was just blown out of the water. Same thing during GCon. So on the Let's Go Off-World podcast channel, we do a show called Allegiance Quest, which is an unofficial Dungeons and Dragons game that pays homage to the Mythic Legions figures, but it's D&D. And Trevor Williams is on the show, another amazing photographer named Nate Strong. Curtis plays with us, and Jesse Arnold from the Just Shelve It channel. And Jeremy Gerard doing the reveals when they revealed their RPG book, role-playing game book for Mythic Legions that they were doing one. He said, and the Legion's Quest guys, if you had waited just a little longer, you would have had this. And that was kind of mind-blowing because that's being recorded. Like there's over 1,000 people watching this show. And he mentioned a show where I'm the dungeon master for guys. Of course, I'm me. So I said, I'll just kill him and we can start over, and everybody laughed, but, because I have to make bad jokes. But that was another surreal, like they just said my name. And then Cameron Smith, who is one of the painters for the Four Horsemen, paints the figures. He's the guy that's making the role-playing game. And I got to play in a D&D game with him, over the weekend. And that was freaking amazing. So yeah, it was just mind-blowing thing after mind-blowing thing, like the whole weekend. Yeah.
No, give me 1 second again.
Sure. Oh yeah. No. Go ahead.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And Pop Blender has jumped in with a $10 super chat saying, just got home from work, slipping this under the door for you, Lawrence. That's all. Keep up the great work. Look forward to watching the entire stream tomorrow. Do better, because honestly, don't watch it for me. We really can't watch it for me because I was blurry half the time. But for Joe here,
blurry Lawrence is better than no Lawrence.
I don't know about that. Well, no Lawrence is probably better than nothing, better than anything. No, like I said, again, I think people really got tired of hearing us talk about Joe Fest. And
right.
It being called Joe Fest, so I know people are like, I don't even like G.I. Joe. It's like, well, it had nothing to do with G.I. Joe. It just had to do with finally meeting all these people, and even meeting people you've never talked to before. Like maybe they've seen some videos, or I've heard about them because they were customizers. They had no idea who I was. And the next thing you know, like for 2 hours, you've been sitting here chatting. And then every single time you walk by them at the convention, you're stopping, saying hi, or, have a few words with them. And again, it could have been a Barbie convention.
Yep.
I said, if you told me, hey, we're doing this exact same thing at a fucking mall in Utah, next year, and we're just going to go hang out at a couple restaurants, chat, I'd be like all down.
Yep.
Because it was just, again, it's just so much fun. And everything that I heard about Legions Con and how you guys were talking, like leading up to it, I'm like, I think it's going to be the exact same way. And again, you do have this common, this commonality that we did with G.I. Joe. You guys have this commonality, but there's also other things that are going on there. And again, I think it's awesome. Like,
good people are good people, though. Like even interacting with you, Lawrence. Yeah.
I gotta address it, Curtis. G.I. Joe is a fucking cesspool. Okay, the fans are a cesspool. Okay, and I'm probably no better because I if you haven't realized by now, I'm kind of boisterous at times. But when you listen to some of them, I've already had people on the Dragonfly review. That thing could never really fly without a rear rotator. It's a fucking toy. All right, it's a toy. All right.
And you're a middle-aged man. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't really fly in real life because it's a toy. So I don't
Right.
care. They could make it perfect. And it's G.I. Joe. They have
Yeah.
guys firing rockets off their legs and off their backs. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But it was just like kind of getting into this community, and enjoying myself. I don't collect I don't own a single classifieds figure, not one. But I'm here because of the people. You know what I mean? Like I got onto Oz's show because of Mythic Legions. Obviously, I talked to Oz about Mythic Legions, and he invited me on the show. But you're good people, and Ed is awesome, and Matthew is awesome, and I've had great conversations with all these people, and Thanos is fantastic, and like it's just great people. It doesn't matter if we collect the same things or not.
Yeah.
We're collectors, so we have that, like you said, commonality, and just cool guys that are fun to hang out with.
And sometimes you like seeing someone else's. You like seeing their excitement over something.
Yes. Yeah.
That you don't collect. Or sometimes
Yeah.
like I'll watch something like I have no interest in buying that, but it looks awesome. I think Robo says it best. I just like plastic. I like good looking toys.
Well, it's like how excited Thanos was over those Berserk figures. Like I've never watched Berserk or read the anime magazines, mangas, I think they're called. And but he gets so happy showing those figures and messing with those figures. It makes me happy to watch him be happy.
So Curtis says, Joe, we should have Lawrence on 2.0 next time Mr. Kelly is on. We wouldn't have to say shit. They would talk Joe's the entire time. Well, Curtis, you may not know this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
It's just Christopher Kelly is a massive G.I. Joe fan, and he has his collection is so impressive. It's just incredible. And he loves talking about G.I. Joe, and he will talk about G.I. Joe. I love Christopher, by the way. Great dude. This isn't any type of a criticism, but he loves G.I. Joe. And that's why Curtis said that, because you guys would probably get along swimmingly.
Or we'd hate each other.
That's possible, too. Always possible.
If people are reasonable, I mean, again, like, you see my Monday night, like Fatred. He doesn't even collect 6-inch stuff. He collects, but he's like, I just tune in to listen to you ramble on about shit.
Right.
You know? But yeah, it's, it is, again, it is weird what you were saying, how people know you. And I said it best. Like, when you come up to us, don't introduce yourself as your name if you have a screen name that we've never talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I didn't have a show and everyone knew me as a punk with toys, and I come up and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Lawrence," you're like, "Who?" Like, who?
Right.
Introduce yourself as your screen name, because that's how we all know you.
Absolutely. I bought name tags to wear during Legion's Con, just to help people out.
Really?
Yeah. I totally wore a name tag, man. I wasn't assuming that people. Now, my mustache can be a name tag, I guess. A lot of people do recognize me from the mustache, but just in case they didn't, I thought it would help them out. I think name tags are great at Well, this was my first ever convention too. It wasn't just my first Legion's Con. I had never been to a convention before.
Curtis, if your YouTube pic is an animated character, you better be dressed as that character.
Otherwise, we don't know who you are. Yeah.
Well, mine's just my logo.
Right. Hey, and up farther in the chat, Speaking Moistly said Mythic Legions fans are great, and I just wanted to agree with that. So,
yeah, I mean, I can honestly say I do not go in your guys' forums too often.
Right.
But I mean, I can say exactly what Curtis said. Like, I'm in these G.I. Joe. I'm in very few G.I. Joe groups because because there is nothing that drives me more mad than someone, in this case, a G.I. Joe fan,
Mhm.
who comes in and asks a dumb question. And what I mean by that is you have a chance to do a simple Google search before you
Right.
go and blast and ask everyone. Hey, type it in your fucking. First off, you're already on the device that you could Google this question. It
Mhm.
might answer it for you.
Right.
And then if you can't find it, then you kind of go and say, "Hey, I was looking for this. Can someone answer this for me?" But how about you just do a little bit of work? It drives me nuts. Absolutely drives me nuts. And I said, like, there was a guy, and he posted, "Hey, I'm new. I'm new here, and this is a GI Joe classified with drop down hips, and this is a Valaverse. Can someone explain to me what the drop down hips are? What the reason is? You ain't gonna find that on Google. Like, you're not gonna figure out what the drop down.
Right. Right.
So, like, that made total sense. I'm like, dude, that is an actual good question. But
Right.
when somebody asks you, like, hey, does anyone know what number 23 was in the GI Joe classified line? I don't know. Fucking Google it, dude.
Right.
You just wasted everyone. Just like dumb
Yeah.
questions, and it's like, God, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
The problem is there's no one new in GI Joe. All right, that's
right.
that.
The or the people that come in, like they'll announce the new wave, even the dragon. There just had to be those people that's like, whatever. I'm not getting it. You don't have to tell us. If you're not
Oh,
buying something,
oh, you
you
mean
can
like
just keep it to yourself.
oh,
Like, don't try to shit on other people's excitement. That's not cool. If I'm excited about something, I don't want to hear somebody, saying that it sucks or they just don't need it or whatever. That's cool. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. But shut up.
GI Joe forum? I'm out of here. I'm tired of, like, you didn't have to let us know.
Yeah,
But now
right.
that you've let us know,
Mhm.
I hope you get notifications.
Yeah, we will wave goodbye. Yeah.
I get it all the time on my reviews, especially Gridiron.
Mhm.
That stuff's just too expensive. Okay, well, why did you have to post that?
Yeah.
Like, if you say, hey, you know what? I really like it. It looks good, but it's out of my price range. You're making a conversation and say, hey, I really do like that. It's just not
Yeah.
something I can afford. When you
Right.
just come in and say, that's just too expensive. All right, well, why did you even bother making that comment?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of comments, and I could probably go back in my life and say, oh, I did a whole bunch of these comments too.
Right. Right.
But you do see it differently as a creator where you're like, there's no reason. Though some of them are good because then I get to do angry, or mean tweets or mean comments, and I get to read them for everyone to listen to it.
And enjoy. Yes. That, and I haven't been a positive person my entire life. I was not born this way. There was a big portion of my adult life that I was very not positive.
It is popular. Is Zartan number 23? Because I have no idea.
Google it, man. Weren't you listening?
I know 00 is Snake Eyes. That's what I
Yeah.
know. All right, that's
Gotcha.
about all that I know because that's where it started.
Mhm.
There's a few
Right.
that kind of like trickle in, but some of them where I have like 6 of them, I'm like, I should probably know that number, but I couldn't tell you what the
Right.
bat is.
Right.
I have 6 bats.
Well, like the I'm not buying it comments. I would rather hear somebody say, I really liked this figure and that figure rather than listing the ones they're not going to buy. Just present it in a way that's not offensive.
Yeah.
And human beings are making these toys. And I think that gets forgotten sometimes that somebody sat down and sculpted that. And there's a guy that paints that figure and comes up with the paint master, and like real human beings are designing these things. We should probably try to show a little more class. If it's not for you, that's fine. You don't have to buy everything. I'm not saying that, but show some respect to creators,
And so this is why I say, when you get to Super 7, I've called them out numerous times, and
Yeah.
it's because of the quality.
Yes.
Like they show you one thing and then they deliver a completely
Right.
different.
And it's a valid criticism, absolutely.
And you have the owner that will tell you, it's good enough, and you're like, no, that's not what you showed everyone.
Right.
That looks nothing like it. And to me, that's a problem. Or when you say, well, yeah, we know the paint wasn't done right, but we were done with the factory, they were done with us. What are you going to do? That's a big F you.
Yeah.
You just gave the double bird. You went Stone Cold Steve Austin to all the people that bought, and that's why your stuff is being blown out on BBTS right now. And
Yeah.
you go to BBTS and you getting figures for you.
And that's so the Horsemen were supposed to have the Necronominous wave, the big undead wave for Legion's Con. And they said it, like, the factory sent over samples. They weren't right. It wasn't what we wanted. We could have had them, if we had accepted it, we could have had them in time for Legion's Con, but we don't want to give you a substandard product. So we had them go back and redo them the right way. And I think as a fan, me personally, I appreciate that more than them rushing just to sell some toys at a con. Yeah, I'd rather have the quality of the figures, And I think that's what they want to be known for. So
So Curtis, this has been brought up so many times. You can't vac metal articulated figures. Oh, now you bought them all. Here are the vac metal versions. Not only that, they did vac metal of certain things. There was Aaron the Toy Enhancer. He bought them, and then he bought the vac metal. And I forget which one it was, but it came with the bird, and he was like, "Look at the first bird. It looks awesome. This one." It's the exact same bird, but they didn't put paint on it. I'm like, but they put like I don't even want to go there. But we do have to.
No, we know. This is old news. Like,
Curtis doesn't know. Curtis is like, well, oh man,
Curtis has been bitter, but Curtis, let it go, man. It's over.
Curtis might have hit a trigger point with me, so he's like, ooh. But
it's a trigger point with him too.
Yeah, 3.5 hours. I have to go to bed because I do have to work in the morning.
Oh, sure.
I've also had to pee for about 2 hours.
Yeah, well, sorry, man. I didn't even realize we had been on that long.
No, dude, like, honest to God, like, I could go on. And I base a lot of this off, like, sports radio. Jim Room, Dan Patrick, I talk about this. The best interviews are conversations. Yeah. And that's what I want to do, just sit down and have a conversation. And you have all these people that are still in here. So you don't want to end it. It's like almost like, man, I should start earlier, or maybe not work on Fridays.
Right.
My boss.
I have to work in the morning too. Yeah, I feel you.
Tripwire says, Punk, you need to keep a milk jug under your desk. Yeah, and Curtis, great show, guys. Very engaging. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Curtis.
And I know Curtis jumped in. A lot of your buddies jumped in here, which was absolutely awesome. Tell them where they can find you, because you said you don't have your own YouTube channel, but you are on.
That is correct. I'm on the Let's Go Off-World podcast. Every
now whose
Friday.
channel is that on?
So Matthew Dooch, it's his channel, he's actually not on the show very often, to be honest.
Well, what's the name of the channel so I can?
The Let's Go Off-World podcast.
That's what it's called.
Is the name of the channel. Yeah.
I think I actually. Wait, I think I. No, let's see. Let's go. Key Glock. It is amazing what things. Let's go off Earth.
Right.
So it's let's go Off-World podcast.
Yes.
I hate when things don't pop up.
Do you want me to drop a link?
Oh, here it is.
Oh.
Oh yeah, actually, you could have just put it in the. in the private chat, but it doesn't matter. I found it.
All right.
No, I actually wouldn't. I'm not subscribed to it, so
We're
Yeah.
trying to get to 500 to help pay for the increase in StreamYard,
I don't know what you're
cost.
talking about.
Right. So any subscriptions that anybody wants to drop is greatly appreciated. We do Off World every Friday night at usually at 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's me and Curtis. We have two versions of the show. We have the standard show, which is Curtis, Jesse, and Dooch, and myself. And then we have a 2.0 version where it's kind of like Oz's Clubhouse, where like we just bring in whoever and make a show out of it because those guys can't make it every other week. So it's me and Curtis and whoever we bring on, And both versions of the show are fantastic. We usually have we always have a good time over there. So I like to say, kick the tires and light the fires. It's time to go off world. It's a good time. Join us. And then we've been doing a D&D game called Allegiance Quest. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Just some real rock stars of the toy community. I'm running the game. I'm the game master for it because of my 32 years of experience. But Jesse Arnold's been playing for about 10, but Curtis and Trevor and Nate are new to role playing. And it's I like to say, if anybody ever was thinking about trying out Dungeons and Dragons, you can learn a lot because they're asking a lot of questions and I'm having to explain a lot of things. But it's really entertaining and fun. I don't know. A lot of people at Legion's Con told me how much they enjoyed it. And so if anybody wants to check it out, you can find the playlist on Dooch's channel. So
And then what about Instagram?
that's Joji Customs I don't know if I flip my camera, so I never know which side the thing is on. On one of these sides is at Joe_G.customs. That's my Instagram. I do customize. I just don't have a ton of free time these days. That's
Welcome
one
to
of
the
the
club.
right. But yeah, my expectation was for that channel to be, or that Instagram to be specifically for customs. You won't see a ton of them on there these days, but I do customize every once in a while. It's one of my passions. So,
Curtis, you have made me laugh, and so has your daughter. But we are dumb,
but in an entertaining way. So
hey, and that's what matters. You're entertaining. Well, anyway, Joe, seriously, thank you very much. I was looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And it's been a great time, and it's better than I really could have even imagined. Like I said, we've
Oh wow! Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
No, and again, I've had I know you and a few other people are like, thank you for having me out. Like they were so honored. I'm like,
yeah.
Again, like it's just a freaking YouTube show. Like I don't like, but people seem to really enjoy it, and I love having new people, and hopefully you guys can find some people. So go over there to Let's Go Off World Podcast. I didn't realize that was the name of the actual channel. I know you had said it before. I thought it was just the name of the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they want to get to 500, we can do that, right? That should
absolutely. I think it's possible. Yeah. And it's just, there's no conceit there. We're not trying to become a super famous channel or anything. It's just that doing these shows is getting kind of expensive, and being able to offset that cost a little bit so it's not coming out of people's pockets is greatly appreciated. So if you can go over and just drop a like, that's free, or a subscription, it's free. It's not costing you a dime, but it will end up helping us out a lot in the long run. So
very true.
Very appreciated. Thank you. And thanks for having me, Lauren. Anytime that anyone invites me onto their show, I'm honored. Again, I don't know why, but it's much appreciated. So thanks for having me. This was
honestly, because you are interesting. You're a great guest.
Thanks, man. I
very respectful. I swore, but you barely swore, and you even
Right.
asked if you could smoke, and
Right. Well,
I feel bad about it still. Not that
let me explain the cursing thing, because I work in an environment with a lot of cursing, so
That's
I do
what- yeah.
curse.
That-
But when I was very young, my grandfather said I cursed when I was young. It wasn't anything bad. I think I said shit or something like that. And he stopped me, and very seriously, he said, "You sound ignorant when you say words like that. Cursing means that you're not intelligent enough to find a better way to express yourself." And that always kind of stuck with me. So when I want people to listen to me and respect the things that I'm saying, I try to be more articulate and not just drop an F-bomb on every other word. So
Curtis says, "I'm totally expecting to become super famous." Well, Curtis, then you need to show up here more often, because I am super famous.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I was Mr. 5,000,
Mhm.
and I'm approaching Mr. 6,000.
Yep.
Do you know how many? do you know how many people have to sub to get 6,000 subs? 6,000.
Yeah. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of email addresses I had to create with new YouTube.
Right. That must have cost you a fortune to buy all those subscriptions.
Yeah, it's a goddamn. I have so many Gmail accounts right now.
Right.
A few AOLs, a couple Hotmails.
Yeah. AOL. Right on.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to all of you that have stuck around. I really do appreciate it. And go check them out tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on
and
Let's Go Off-World podcast.
we'll be doing a Legions Con recap, our Legions Con recap. So should be super fun.
That sounds awesome. All right. Take care. I will see you guys all Monday, if not over there on Friday.
Yep.
Take
Good
care.
night, everybody.